for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Happy Friday. What a great day.
Just glad it's Friday.
Wow. I actually like work. So I don't know. I find that the weekend kind of gets long.
Don't bring up the weekends again. People ask the question.
What's the question? Oh, we're doing something on Sunday? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. We might as well, considering that I'm not going to be here next Sunday. And neither likely will you, right?
I can do it from anywhere.
Right. So I cannot. So let's say yes to Sunday if that's good with Brock.
I get to make an executive decision. What's it worth to y'all?
Oh, gosh. Anywho, how is everybody? What's going on out there? We came very close yesterday, but not really. See, that's why I say if we point horror early,
right.
If we say, look, there's 2,600 people on right now. Why don't we have 2,600 rumbles? I don't know. No, I don't know. Oh, you love the hair. Thank you very much. Salty.
You've got plenty of time to go get your Chuck juice.
It's a special slice of curly today. I'm going to tell you how I do my hair. You guys ready?
Hold on. Are we in the car? Then the sunroof opens.
That dries it a bit. And it's in clips. And then I take down the clips and I come on. That's what I do.
And then it's a twist. Back.
Yes. Yes.
Secure.
It's a twist. Mm-hmm. Yep. Today I have 2 bobby pins in my hair.
That's it.
I know.
How many are still there from yesterday that you're randomly going to find?
And been like, ow. And there's one like it's migrated to the back of my head. I'm like, that's perfect. Anyway, it's great to be with you guys. I am drinking Native Hydrate. Are you drinking Native Hydrate?
I'm drinking Chuck juice.
Okay, so we're going to talk about both right out of the bat. Look, chuckdefense.com/Wendy. This is a great opportunity for you to try something that's going to push you through that part of your day where you drag, where you don't think you're going to make it. And you're like, oh my goodness. chuckdefense.com/Wendy is that beverage. It's delicious. It's sweet without being overly done.
Doesn't smell good.
It's not gritty. He doesn't like the smell of it before the water is constituted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then I drink the Native Hydrate, and this is the one from Native Path. This is the 44% off, nativehydrate.com/Wendy. I'm drinking the mixed berry right now, but there is the tangerine. There is the peach mango. Look, it's not just about water. It's about electrolytes and branched chain amino acids. And you're like, what are those? I'm like, I don't know, but they're in my drink. And I can tell you that I'm not like, I can tell you in my own personal workout life that I'm far less desperate for water after exercise. Not to mention it flushes you out and gets all the stuff that you need where it needs to go. Native Paths, nativehydrate.com/Wendy, 44% off, $20 from Froggy. Ah, y'all have a beer on me today. It's almost like you understand our Friday regimen. My perspective is always, if we've had a good week, and we always do, thanks to you guys and thanks to Brock, he works very hard, right? I think that he should probably have lunch and a couple beers every Friday. What do you guys think? Would you like to work for me or with me? That'd be awesome.
For you.
Well, I'm sorry. Have you spent the last 6 months putting together the taxes? That's right. No, you haven't. That sounded
Going next week to pick up more merch that Wendy worked on.
Oh, great. While you're visiting family.
Yeah.
Excellent. I think you should totally double dip. That's a good idea. Save some charges for shipping. I appreciate that. Outside the box thinking.
Yeah.
That is a fine looking what shall we call that? Pullover? What exactly?
Like a t-shirt, hoodie, pullover, 3/4 zip.
Yeah, you look handsome.
I found it online.
Did you?
It was on sale.
Uh-huh.
Clearance rack.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Clearance rack on sale.
Uh-huh.
Had a little hole, so I had to close it up. That's why it was on sale.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's funny. It's from Clemson. Why?
Well, Clemson's one of those schools you can get their stuff anywhere, right? Yeah. Or you can go to clemsonuniversity.com and go in their bookstore.
Really?
I don't know.
I'm
making it up as I go along.
Wow. Now everybody knows what's going on.
Wendy was nice enough to get me one of the.
Every time I've ever gone on a college visit, I always bring him back something. And you know this stuff in the bookstore.
Yeah. And it's with the twins. Now I only get one for 2 kids. This is bull.
Welcome to your daily dose of facts. Fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane, or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm. North is still north. People can yell at you. North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we are converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. Greetings to you, all of you across the fruited plain and beyond. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. Common sense, conservative values in 3-hour increments. Actually, it's about every 20 minutes. We give you something fresh. We give you something new. And there was a lot to talk about yesterday. My goodness. You had congressional hearings out the wazoo. We got our first listen to of RFK Jr. talking about the waste and the fraud and the abuse at HHS. Oh my gosh, Elon Musk sits down and does an in-person interview with the Doge team, some of the handful of guys. And we got it all for you. All of the audio sound bites your busy life had you miss. Well, we got you covered. Welcome home. Delighted to be with you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, I don't even think I have to do an official poll. I can give you just my common sense 30,000-foot view, my diagnosis of some of this ridiculous outcry of anything President Trump and Elon Musk are up to. And I'm going to say this. 95% of the people in your life, in my life, who say things like, yeah, but, when talking about the state of the country right now, how things are going, how it's feeling. Yeah, but. Their yeah, but is because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And that is a shame. It's an absolute shame. And we're going to prove that to you on multiple occasions today. There is a very typical liberal strategy to coerce people into doing things, to con people into believing something is one thing when it's really another. It's all based on emotions, right? It's all based on somebody as a victim being wronged by some big bad person. And then this cry for you to join their fight for justice. Of course, if you look at whoever the victim is, it's almost always somebody you don't want to rally behind, a cause you don't support, and certainly for no money that they, of course, want you to chip in and pay So their grifting continues, right? Do you guys remember, of course, COVID? In Pennsylvania, we had a health secretary in Rachel Levine, Dr. Rachel Levine, a transgender individual, okay? Guy is a child's therapist, right? Psychologist, psychiatrist, something like this. Somehow becomes our health secretary. And because of those various boxes, bounces up in the Biden administration to be the deputy secretary of health or whatever, right? Now, the number one thing this individual said during COVID, and this is an individual, I should say, as the health secretary of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania during COVID, moved his own mom out of a nursing home into a private residence, saying that, of course, his 91-year-old mom was the one who requested it. We all called bullcrap. This person knew exactly what was coming and wanted to move his loved one out before they locked him down. And how many tens of thousands of our greatest generation died alone and afraid, right? Well, this Dr. Levine had a saying every time there was an update, and there was always an update here in Pennsylvania, probably your state too. This is how it went. Stay home, stay calm, stay safe. Now, I want you to think about that. For almost a year, we were told to distrust each other. We were told to put on these stupid masks, to stay away from one another, to completely upend our lives, to not go to the office, to not go to school, to just not worry about it. The check is in the mail if you qualify, and a bunch of people did. I didn't. A bunch of people did. Just hang tight. We'll figure out what's going on, and we'll open things up, and everything will be hunky-dory. They essentially allowed themselves to continue grifting, to continue making these no-bid contracts with China, to get PPE because, we should be paying China that gave us the virus that we paid for, right? That unleashed it on the world and killed 1 million of our people. We should totally pay China to create the masks and the tests that we should all be using to see if we've got a virus that, by and large, if you're a moderately healthy individual, is much like the flu. So stay home, stay calm, stay safe. Everything that we're going through right now is the exact opposite of that. It is get up, get out, get busy. It's dig into the data. It's find the algorithm. It's figure out where the contracts are going. It's follow the money. It's pull the plug on the waste, clean up the fraud, and let's get back to basics so we, the United States, can march forward in this golden age, whatever that means to you, however it's going to materialize for you and your family, right? Let's do all these things, but it takes action, right? And who doesn't like that? People who need you to stay home, stay calm, and stay safe. What they need you to be is blind, to ask no questions, to put on a visible sign of your obedience, the masks, to do as they say, and to be the dutiful little clone troopers walking into the cattle chute to your own control. This, what we are experiencing, is an end to that. It is a rebirth, a reawakening, a reimagining, and a gutting of all of the garbage. Isn't it wild that the man at the head of it all, the billionaire who only cares about his rich billionaire friends, who are all probably white, is the guy who wants to save you money? Isn't it curious that the man he has basically employed as his number one assistant is the richest man in the world, who also happens to be among the most intelligent? And we're to believe that together, these two individuals are the gravest threat to our well-being ever. Guys, we've already survived that. We survived that. The George Soros, Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, dark money takeover of this country, right? We've already survived that. We survived a pandemic that they told us, Be afraid. They need you afraid. And what I love in this sit-down interview, and you're going to hear it in the next half hour, this sit-down interview of Elon Musk with these gentlemen behind him. These guys are, what do you think, Brock? 25, maybe at the max 30? What do you think? If
I would say they were all older.
older than that. Okay.
One guy had no hair.
The guys in the back wearing the suits.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
One's a space rocket guy.
These people sit down with Brett Baer and they go over what exactly they have been finding. And it is nothing but astonishing. When you hear that 40% of the phone call inquiries to the Social Security Administration, 40% of them are fraudulent. They are scammers trying to steal people's Social Security money. Do you have any idea how long this has been going on? And the left's battle cry, Ilhan Omar wants to impeach President Trump. She wants to throw away Pete Hegseth. She wants to unwind Elon Musk. These people must be stopped, said the people who wanted you home and afraid and vaccinated multiple times and silent. I find it all so rich, don't you? I read an interesting article in the New York Times about how this whole idea of this Department of Government Efficiency started. And I want to bring it to you as we come back from the next commercial, this first commercial break, because it really is so interesting. It wasn't Elon Musk's idea to bring all these young engineers into the whole Doge fray. It wasn't his at all. In fact, the changes that are happening right now, and you're going to hear from Bobby Kennedy Jr., the first time he has made a public statement in a 6-minute video. We're going to break down the most salient points for you. And we're going to show you HHS is the #1 place where savings has been found, all of the Doge Twitter website. This is a very interesting day, ladies and gentlemen. The cries to silence and stop the Doge wrecking ball, they're only beginning to simmer. That's what's wild. All right, so when we come back, let's talk briefly about what's going on in Wisconsin. Big state Supreme Court fight. Elon Musk has already thrown $19 million at it. George Soros has dumped more. What? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. This is a very interesting article I stumbled upon just a few minutes ago, and it's a New York Times one, so it's dripping in its own political take, but it gives you a timeline of how this whole Department of Government Efficiency started and how it evolved. It's super cool to see. And so I'm going to walk through this. We'll get through the whole idea of the Supreme Court thing in a minute, because it's kind of shady, kind of really shady. When you've got dark money groups desperate to throw cash at it, you know there's something dark going on. What are you looking for?
The music isn't coming through.
Yeah, and it's really loud on my side, but it's not coming through them. I can tell you, I have not touched anything.
I'm not saying you do.
Well, I'm just saying that I would tell you if I had. All right, while he is doing that, I want to tell you quickly about Switch with Wendy, and I was thinking about this yesterday. You know, it seems like if you were to go and you were going to get some eggs, and I went to Trader Joe's yesterday, I needed to get some stuff. And so I looked to see if they had eggs. No eggs, completely out of eggs. Think about this. From the farmer with the chickens that are laying the eggs to the time the eggs make it to your store and into your cart, how many people have their hands in on the cut of the cost of those eggs? It's got to be like 6 or 8 different groups, right? What I love about Switch with Wendy is when you buy a product, you buy direct from this company. American grown, American sewn, American made, all of it, hook, line, and sinker. There's no markup. There's no, oh my gosh, supply chain 15% surcharge. There's no, oh, well, so-and-so has to truck it to such and such place. Here's your cut. That's not how it goes. That's how their costs are low. Their products are extraordinary. There are hundreds upon hundreds to choose from. And I think you're going to so enjoy being able to go blah, 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 and order and then go directly to the state-of-the-art shipping facility, which I have toured. I think there's a Marine who's in charge of it. It's some like military guy who is like with the military, I mean, like crazy. And he's in charge of the whole thing. Things get to your house in 48 hours. And if you've got a problem with something and you call, they pick up on the first ring. What? Switchwithwendy.com. Give it a shot. Give it a try. Listen to what we are. See if you want to be a part of it. If not, that's cool. If yes, about 16% of the people who say, I love this company, go on to work with us representing this company. Might be you. Might be you. Switchwithwendy.com. There you go. Kelly Morgan has a birthday coming up.
Yeah.
I think it's Monday.
So if you guys don't hear music, please don't tell me. There's nothing I can do unless I shut the system down, and I'm not going to do that. So.
Kelly Morgan.
Here we go.
Early birthday. Happy birthday, girl. I'm going to read you something here briefly about this whole Doge timeline, which I thought was very interesting. And this is in a New York Times article, which is curious in and of itself. Now, in this article, there is political opinion and bias. I mean, I don't really think we read anything anymore that just gives you the nuts and bolts and not the reporter or the author's own personal bias. This is certainly in that as well. But it's an interesting timeline. It says this, how the Doge takeover unfolded. Did you guys know that it was at a dinner party in 2023 when Elon Musk started kind of musing about the idea of digging into government fraud, waste, and abuse? Because that's where it happened. And I didn't realize that. September 29th, 2023, he's at a fundraising dinner for Vivek Ramaswamy in the Silicon Valley home of technology investor Chamath Palihapitiya. Now, we have talked about Chamath many times on this program. You've heard his sound with David Sachs and his podcast. I forget what it's called, but it's a great podcast. It is there, September 29th, so like a year and a half ago. Elon Musk indicated to guests there that he saw the gutting of the federal bureaucracy as primarily a technology challenge. With passwords and other things, he said, he could make government fit and trim. That is very interesting to me. August 2nd of 2024, so last summer, there was a very interesting podcast with Lex Friedman when Musk first publicly mentioned his interest in what would become Doge. August 12th, in an interview with Donald Trump, Musk raises the idea of some government efficiency commission that would ensure the taxpayers' money was being spent in a good way. A week after that, an ex-user proposed the organization be named the Department of Government Efficiency. This is a natural evolution of good people coming together, seeing problems and saying, all right, how are we going to fix it? Now, fast forward, that was August of last year, you guys, to where we are today. And Elon Musk said within the last several hours, which is amazing, he believes Doge will have cut $1 trillion in bloat and bureaucracy and garbage by the end of May. What? See, action, plans, people coming together, sharing ideas, pushing out the platform, getting the right people in place and going versus stay home, stay calm, stay safe. See, when you're homesick or scared, you're super easy to control, right? That's what they were betting on. Elon Musk saw the bloat, wanted to fix it. And now he is persona non grata to the left. Isn't it interesting? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Wisconsin. Wisconsin is super, super interesting. And you don't have to know all of the players here. If you live in Wisconsin, you know this is a big deal. I believe Tuesday is the date, April 1st. They're going to be voting on a bunch of different things, but the big one is state Supreme Court. All right. And you've got this individual, a far left radical, one could say lunatic. This woman has been accused of and demonstrably giving soft sentences to child rapists. This is a woman George Soros has floated quite a few bucks to, versus a Republican guy who is backed by, obviously, us and Elon Musk. Elon's dumped $19 million into this campaign. So I want to read you this particular, I don't know what you would call it. Maybe it's a tangible carrot at the edge of a stick on a string. All right. Elon Musk says he is going to pay 2 people on Tuesday who can prove that they voted in the elections in Wisconsin. He is going to hand out 2 checks for $1 million each. This is a very interesting incentive that the world's richest man can certainly manage. And he's obviously saying, look, this is a big race, because the whole goal of the Supreme Court, if you're looking through the lens of the left, they want to be able to have a liberal advantage on the state Supreme Court so that they can basically gerrymander. They can change perhaps congressional district lines, hopefully take a couple seats away from the already thin majority that the Republicans have in the House and give them to a couple of Democrats. All right. Because of this, yesterday we heard that Donald Trump was pulling back Congresswoman Elise Stefanik's nomination to be the ambassador to the United Nations. We have too much need. We have too many things going on in the House right now. The president said we can put other people in that UN role. We can't guarantee that a Republican is going to win whatever special election would be to fill Elise Stefanik's New York seat in the House. And so these are the wranglings, the machinations of what is going on right now in Wisconsin. God forbid you should just have 2 candidates who duke it out based on their own talents, their own platforms, their own objectives. You see the lawfare. You see the political gamesmanship. You see all of the wranglings of making sure you either have the majority or you prevent others from adding to theirs. This is where we are. Meantime, couldn't find eggs yesterday. Right? Meantime, you're like, my taxes are due and I'm getting freaking hammered. What are you all going to do to help us out? Well, you're going to hear some optimism coming up after this short break. Elon Musk says that the savings that they have already carved out of the federal budget, these are things that you are tangibly going to see in your benefits. Specifically, if you are an older American collecting Social Security. Wait a minute. The left said that they're taking that away from you. Yeah, no, about that. I think it's going to be a good 2025, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, let's hear what Elon Musk and his Doge team had to say next. I mean, you can get into all the specifics about who these people are and what they've done, but the fact of the matter is, it's all about changing. It's all about changing the gerrymandering about the districts, congressional districts, so the House can be even closer. Right now, it's 218 to 213, something like that. Like, that's close, super close. They want to impeach Trump. They want to impeach Trump again. I mean, come on.
When's the last time we changed the batteries? Just recently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not flickering at all.
Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense, dude. Why it's not?
I don't know. Let me tell you about lean. Take lean. Who wants to lose significant weight? I think most yo-yo dieters tend to yo-yo in bigger swings. I think if you've got 10 or 15 pounds to lose and you lose it, I don't know, maybe that's considered a yo-yo too if you pack it back on. But it's really the bigger numbers that are bad for you. I mean, it's just a bear on your body, not to mention what it does to your mind. But there is an option. There is a helper, and it comes to our friends at Brick House Nutrition, the makers of Field of Greens, and it's called Lean. Take Lean, and this is a natural way to carve your cravings and curb your appetite, but losing weight slowly, predictably, consistently, and keeping it off. Okay, that's what the story is. So if you want to open up your phone and your camera and hover above that QR code right there, it should populate on your screen. Click it. It'll take you directly to the offer. If not, go to takelean.com and use my name, Wendy20, to get 20% off. Pretty good deal. Pretty good deal. And this is a doctor formulation. This isn't just like some fly by night. Let's see if this works. They've had great success with this formulation at Field of Greens. Well, not Field of Greens, at Brickhouse Nutrition. Take Lean. TakeLean.com. I've enjoyed having them on this week. Next week, I think we get my favorite skincare line back. Oh, super excited. Does anybody know which one that is? Well, I can hear music. Yes, I can hear music. Brock's mind is going into overdrive right now, trying to figure this out. There's a lot of sound today. What's going on here? That's just me. I hear that. Psst, 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 psst. No. I know. It's frustrating. It's like, do we shut it down and boot and go because you guys can't hear? I don't know. Yes, Darius, go Vols. Let's go. Oh, Black Lab knows. Yeah, I know. Genucel. It is costly. Let me see. I'll give you a peek into what might be their sale. That would be awesome. Let's see what it is. Watch, I'll say there's going to be a sale, and they're going to be like, yeah, we're not going to do it. Let's see, Genucel. Oh, they're not putting it in yet. Ooh, CB Distillery comes back. Ooh, wow. Holy Moses. Houston, we've got a full docket next week. That's good. That is good.
That means I get paid for another week.
Ireland Contracting wants you to call them. Ireland Contracting is ready for your phone call right now. Because you've got that project.
After the show.
You've got that project. Something's wrong with the roof. And you're like, honey, I don't want to go up there. First of all, there's no business us walking around up there. And by the way, we have no idea what we're doing. So why don't we get an expert who we know isn't going to try to rip us off? Isn't that nice when you can call? Like, I just went to this wonderful garage door company here in Pittsburgh because we're finally replacing our garage. It is not cheap. I'm going to tell you, it is not cheap. But didn't you know they gave me a conservative friends and family discount? Thank you. That's what Ireland Contracting is. These people feel the way we do about this country. They feel about the flag the way we do. They feel about the military the way we do. And they like helping people and doing a really good job. So if you have a home exterior remodeling project, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Literally, it is a great time to put in new windows. If you need new windows in the house, they're phenomenal. Phenomenal. Ask about all of their financing. They got great offers for folks. So 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Love them.
This is going to bother me the rest of the week.
I know it will. I'm sorry.
And the whole weekend.
I know. I know.
The sad thing is we can only check it when we're live.
Right. And if you come in here and do something, I'll punch you. Throws me off.
Wow.
It's so distracting. And you're like, no, I'm perfectly reasonable. This is great. No, I'm not saying you. It's just hard to communicate or to concentrate. It is you.
Wendy's world, we're just living in.
Duh. Rumble. Come on. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Hey, did you see the sit down last night with Elon Musk and some members of his Doge team, the Department of Government Efficiency? Who are these people? They're just little zit-faced kids who are going in and they're going to steal your Social Security. They're going to get all of your data. Well, that's so funny because no, in fact, they're not. They don't have access to that sort of stuff, but they do have access to a bunch of, I guess we'd call it like coding material. And these guys are able to come in and see exactly where the money's going, where it's not been accounted for, and the amount of waste, to the degree that Elon Musk says by the end of May, their job will have been completed. We met our $1 trillion objective to trim down our budget, our deficit as well. Oh my, is that so? Isn't it amazing when you see things happen after years of malaise? After years of ineffective zero, after years of an AWOL president, you got Donald Trump, who I swear has to be a vampire. Dude does not sleep. He's got to fly. He's all over the place, or he's a time traveler. Nobody knows for sure, but he's getting stuff done in remarkable speed. And we're still, 30 days away from his 100th day? I mean, think about that. So last night, Bret Baier sat down with Elon and company. He's got a handful of guys around him, a couple younger guys on either side of him wearing jeans. Then you've got the suit-wearing guys, a little bit older, behind him. And Bret Baier just goes through these questions that are very applicable. And the first one is, I think, what we all would wonder. If you had an opportunity to just chat with Elon Musk, wouldn't you be like, what was the thing that you found that blew your mind the most? Like, of all the obscene waste and the ridiculosity that you've now been privy to, what blew your mind the most? And that is the first question. Go.
For you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually. For example, like the simple survey that was literally a 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000. Was the government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey. Do you like the national park?
Do you like the national park? You know what? I could ask one of my twins right now. Boys, I need you in the next 30 minutes to create a survey for me that is, let's say, 10 questions long. Okay? They could sit down, bang it out, and we could send it out on SurveyMonkey. If you've ever used this, it's a great website. You could get a lot of people access to a survey that you have. They can respond to it. You get some kind of scientific results, and we would present our findings thusly. I think you could probably do that for $300, something like that. $1 billion, $1 billion. It's like this. It's like once you find one thing and you pull on that thread and you look up here and you're like, oh, wait a minute, it's connected up here. Mind-blowing fraud and waste. Things that are just cavalierly $1 billion. Where's the money going? That's a great question. That's what they're trying to find out. That is why the Democrats are freaking out. Here's the audio soundbite number 2. Here is a Doge worker. He's talking about just what I said before the break, the staggering degree of fraud within the Social Security Administration, people calling to try to pretend that they are due benefits. Listen.
We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters.
40%?
That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they steal people's Social Security is what happens. Is they call in, they say they claim to be a retiree, then they convince the Social Security person on the phone to change where the money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. This is happening all day, every day. and then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security, it's because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
Okay, now tell me why angry people are firebombing Teslas. Exactly how does that make sense? Connect those dots for me. We've identified that 40% of the claims being made to the Social Security Administration are fraudulent. Let's go key a Tesla Cybertruck. How does that work for you? It doesn't. There is that insane, fringe, wacko group that's ginned up by people like Ilhan Omar, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, AOC, fill in your suck Democrat du jour, and that is what you get, okay? Onward we go. Audio soundbite number 3. What about the fear mongering that you guys here at Doge, you're stealing people's benefits, because that's what they're telling us, and that's what their media friends are pushing out there a la wrap-up smear. What about that?
What we're doing will help their benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of Doge, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of Doge, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
All right.
I want to emphasize that point and let the record show that I said this, and it will be proven out to be true.
It will be proven out to be true. Let the record show. Now, whom do you trust? People with the blueprints? People with the access? People who've been doing the work since the day Donald Trump won the election on November 5th up until this point? Or rabid lunatic Democrats who are obviously freaked out that they're going to have to actually do one of something to earn their pay? Tell me how Jasmine Crockett is worth $9 million. Please, anybody, tell me. Because the minute Doge turns its sights on their congressional bookkeeping, on their financial disclosures, I hope every single one of them who is cashed in while you and your accounts have been bled dry, I hope they pay, whatever that means. I hope they do. Audio soundbite number 4. Our goal is to reduce government spending by staggering percentage, 15%. And oh yeah, we're going to do that in just about another 2 months. Go.
Our goal is to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. From a nominal deficit of $2 trillion to try to cut the deficit in half to $1 trillion. Or looked at it in total federal spending to drop the federal spending from $7 trillion to $6 trillion. At a high level, you should think of this as we want to reduce the spending by eliminating waste and fraud, reduce the spending by 15%, which seems really quite achievable. The government is not efficient, and there's a lot of waste and fraud. So we feel confident that a 15% reduction can be done without affecting any of the critical government services.
Without affecting any of the critical government services, we can carve out $1 trillion. That's 15%. So the deficit, that gap between how much money your government spends and how much they tax us to bring in revenue, they've been outspending. God forbid there should be anybody who says, how about you stop outspending? Alas, Donald Trump is elected because 77 million people said, look, this is a runaway flippin' freight train. There's no way we would run our personal finances like this. You would be foreclosed upon. Your home would be taken from you. Your car would be repoed, and you and your family would be in some tent city begging for scraps. Period. Audio soundbite number 5. On the people who attack the Department of Government Efficiency. What's this all about? They all share apparently one common thing. Listen.
Usually when they attack Doge, they never attack any of the specifics. So they'll say what we're doing is somehow unconstitutional or illegal or whatever. We're like, well, which line of the cost savings do you disagree with? And they can't point to any. And we list them all on Doge.gov and the Doge handle on X. And you'll see just outrageous things, one outrageous thing after another.
Now, see, this involves people actually doing a little bit of investigating. See, if you're used to the media being your source of information, you have been fed a steady diet of suck, right? Which is why we say all the time, turn it off. You gain nothing by watching 60 Minutes. You gain zero by paying attention to the quote unquote corporate news. You can hop on any social media platform right now, scroll through it, and in about 10 minutes, have a pretty good feeling about what's going on in the country. From people who are on the street, turning their cameras on themselves, saying, look what I see. And you're going to hear one of them coming up from California in just a minute. They say it's unconstitutional what we're doing. Why would anyone be against slimming down the size of the government? Because they're cashing in and it is paying them. Audio soundbite number 6 on Elon's tweets. This is a very important one. This is the one where Bread Bear asks Elon, some of your tweets are a little, incendiary, if you will. Not as incendiary as Molotov cocktails that are being thrown at your dealerships. But some of the things that you're saying, particularly about this Senator Mark Kelly from Arizona. I want you to listen.
Democratic Arizona Senator Mark Kelly posted on X about his trip to Ukraine to push for continuing to send U.S. weapons and support there. And you posted that he was a traitor. Well, why do that?
Well, I think somebody should care about the interests of the United States above the interests of another country. And
Sure.
if they don't, they're a traitor.
Yeah, but he's a decorated veteran, a former astronaut, a sitting U.S. senator.
It doesn't mean it's okay for him to put the interests of another country above America.
Newsflash, brother. It's about America first. We've been America last for so long. This is the soundbite, though, that I think represents the character that you don't get to dig into with this man, Elon Musk. And it's specifically about war. And I want you to hear what he says about the uselessness of war and death and all of the insanity wrapped around it.
We should have empathy for the thousands of people that are dying every day in trenches, for no movement in the lines. So the borders remain the same. For the past 2 years, thousands of people have died every week for nothing. For what? And I take great offense at those who put the appearance of goodness over the reality of it. Those who virtue signal and say, oh, we can't give in to Russia, but have no solution to stopping thousands of kids dying every day. They just want that to continue forever. I have contempt for such people. I don't want to make that clear.
Yeah. So you're optimistic.
Because they're virtue signaling, and their lack of a solution means that kids don't have a father. It means that parents lost a son. For what? Nothing.
For what? Nothing. Now, does that sound like some crazy madman who wants to steal your money? Or might that be the most refreshing look at an authentic individual who freaking loves America? And if that makes him enemy number one to the left, then they're all traitors. Period. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, NBC does a sit down with black men in swing states. Are you still pleased about your vote for President Trump? Not sure they bargained for this answer. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. This is where Brock loses his mind. This one individual says something that kind of stokes his ire this morning. But I agree, and it was sort of the predicate of this entire show. Don't you like how I give you inside baseball, but very vague? Mm-hmm.
You better not talk about me.
Why not?
Some people might not like it.
What do you mean?
It's just saying some people might not like it.
Who are you talking about?
Nothing.
Wow, that's as vague as what I just said. Look, I don't know what your finances are like, but if you're like the majority of people out there, you could use some help. And you might carry some balances on your credit cards, and the credit card interest rates are ferocious. And it can vary easily. Economic, like financial problems, are one of the things that haunt you. And it's really hard to stop dragging that ball and chain around with you. It's like Peg Pen on Charlie Brown, his cloud of dust, right? You can't get away from it. American financing is a perfect detour. It's an off route. Get off of the road of feeling horrible about what you owe and get it under control with some help. AmericanFinancing.net/Bell. 866-336-5030. 866-336-5030. These folks do not work on commission. They work basically on a salary, and their goal is to help you and to help you dig out of debt, pay off your bills, and do it at a discount. And so the average person who calls them reduces their fees that they owe, the monthly payment, by $800. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of food. AmericanFinancing.net/Bell. 866-336-5030. Give them a call. See what they can do for you. You know, sometimes it's just nice to know that there's somebody who's not going to judge you, who's going to hear what's going on, because they've heard people who are 50 times worse off than you. And they'll be able to give you that little peace of mind. Don't you worry about it. We can help you out. Goes a long way when things feel tight. All right, let's see how you all are doing. 2.2. Can we please have 2.5 at a minimum right here?
Esky Dog, that's not, he says it sounds like you have one channel. That's not, Wendy's coming across two channels. So I don't understand. I'm going to have to reboot that computer.
Why don't we do it as we're done? We can
Yeah.
We'll cycle it. We'll cycle it through.
Yeah.
All right. Because
I just don't. We literally did nothing different from yesterday. Uh-oh. Is it panic mode? Do you need to send an email?
I just looked and I was like, oh my God, no. Oh, I'm so disappointed. My deep wrinkle filler is kaput. I'm telling you, I use it like 3 times a day. I wouldn't tell you about it if it didn't work. I'll tell you more about it in just a minute. Poop. All right. Interesting story. Let's see. Black men for Trump results. Let's do this. Racial analysis. Huh. This is so ridiculous. I hate all of media. Is that wrong?
You hate who?
All of the media. I really do.
No, that's pretty par for the course. That's pretty par for the course.
So I really wanted to play for you those audio sound bites from the Department of Government Efficiency, from Elon Musk and some of the guys who've been working with him to streamline spending and identify places that, you know, we can trim the fat. And for $1 billion to be the average, like, pet project fraud, you're like, what? That is so much money. It's outrageous. Who would be against this Department of Government Efficiency? Well, you're going to hear somebody in just a minute. NBC News did a sit down, all right? They got a bunch of black guys, black voters who voted for Trump in swing states in November. And I think it's 7 guys. And this is done through Syracuse University and some other outfit. And they're doing this Zoom call, all right? And so here's the headline from NBCnews.com. Black men who backed Trump approve of his presidency, but raise some concerns about Doge. Okay, what concerns do you guys have? Legitimately, what concerns do you possibly have? Do you think they're going places they shouldn't? Do you think they're getting access to things that they shouldn't have access to? Do you think they're stealing from you? because all that is garbage. All of that is garbage. Those are all media talking points. And as Elon Musk said, mark my words. People who are on Social Security are going to see their benefits. Thanks to our work, they're going to see their benefits go up. The focus group participants, some of whom backed Joe Biden in 2020, also criticized the Democratic Party and weighed in on the future of DEI programs. In essence, the black men on this panel, in this focus group, they had different feelings about DEI, but by and large, they approved of President Trump. I want you to hear this first audio soundbite. After asking for a show of hands, whomever this guy is who's kind of conducting the focus group questionnaire, asks them who approves of what this new administration is doing. 5 of the 7 men raise their hands. Listen.
Marlon, why do you approve?
I approve because he's weeding out a lot of things that the other, I would say, Biden and Kamala Harris disrupted in this United States. There's a lot of things. It's going to be a tough job for him in the Trump administration as a whole. But I'm just willing to wait and see what goes forth from now.
I believe that he's getting rid of the clutter and things that have been there for a long period of time, and he's just cleaning house. But there's a way to do it, and so I don't 100% agree totally how he's cleaning house, but there are some areas that need to be improved within the government.
Oh yeah.
I'd say he said he's going to do some things. He did a lot of things. Whether it actually happens exactly how he wanted to happen or not, at least he tried and actually did something. So that's more than I can say about the Democrats probably ever.
Wow. He actually tried. He's doing some stuff that's more than I could probably say about the Democrats ever. That is scathing. The one gentleman says, I don't agree totally with how he's cleaning house. Why? Why? Well, we don't really like when people lose their jobs. Welcome to the real world, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome to government bureaucracy and bloat. Now, of the 2 guys who don't like what Trump is doing, let's listen in and hear why they're not fond of this. Go.
I disapprove of the way he's handled the firings of government employees. Firing public sector versus the private sector are 2 different animals. In my opinion, he should have gone in with a scalpel instead of a blowtorch.
I think the economy right now is in a position where they're hurting and they need help.
So because the economy sucks, because Joe Biden sucked, and everything that the left did sucked, Donald Trump is trying to put it all together. Doesn't happen overnight. He has said so. But you're worried about people losing their jobs. Are you not worried about the tens of thousands who never went to work? Are you worried about the tens of thousands who for 4 years, literally 4 years, never went to work? They didn't check their email. What were they doing, sirs? Do you need phantom people who have fictitious jobs, but who are collecting very real paychecks? See, that argument doesn't hold water. These are the 95% of people on the left who pay attention to CNN and MSNBC. They are ill-educated. They do not know. They do not represent the majority. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, it's the first time RFK Jr. has spoken to America. What does he have to say? Oh my, buckle up. It has to do with Elon. You should have gone in with the scalpel and not with the chainsaw. I'm like, well, when you've got 100,000 duplicitous jobs, should you go in and just, how do you feel about us taking away your job? You don't want to do that? Like, that's idiotic. No. I mean, come on.
If one finger has gangrene, you cut the finger off to save the hand.
Come on. What are we doing? But that guy is a product of the stuff that he hears. These people lost their jobs. They can't feed their kids. They can't do anything. That's so rich billionaire white guys. Really? No, of course not. Duh. Ugh. I love gold. I know it's kind of a hard pivot, but it's true. I love gold. I love silver. I don't have platinum and palladium in my investment portfolio with Texas Bullion Exchange. WendyLovesGold.com. Get your Donald Trump coins. Look at that beautiful coin there. Also, that's the silver eagle. Oh, look. Hi. So what they're going to do is they're going to say, right now it looks like an ounce of silver, which is what this is. I don't know what the going rate is, at $34, whatever. And you're going to get it for 35. What? How do they do that? $1? They're going to make $1 on an ounce? Yeah. Yeah, these people are not getting rich off of this. They want to open the door to precious metals investing for you. And so if you're interested in seeing how gold and silver and platinum and palladium can impact your peace of mind about saving for tomorrow, I need you to call 855-927-5557 or go to wendylovesgold.com. You're going to get in a conversation with somebody at Texas Bullion. They're going to want to communicate with you. They're going to want to chat with you. Don't do it via email. It's get the phone call. Call them and talk to one of their folks because they're wonderful and they're geeked out to help you save and get peace of mind. And
Silver's up.
Silver's up. What is it?
28 cents.
Is
up
it?
to 35.
35. All right. I think when we started, it was at 33. So look, it's a steady and dependable investment and something that I think is, I'm going to say it again, and I sound like a broken record, but I love this idea of grandparents and grandchildren. Grandparents, instead of sending, oh, congratulations, here's $100 for Christmas or whatever. Oh, here, how about 3 silver coins? And they're like, what? And when you can open them, some of them are really well packed, but each one comes in a certified thing and it's all on. Okay.
It's almost like collecting challenge coins.
It's like collecting challenge coins, except these in 10 years are going to be worth well more than they are today. Right? It is a good way to look at it. Why am I getting all this activity on my Facebook page? I haven't had control of my Facebook page in years. I don't know. Whatever. Has your friend said anything to you about Harmony? Is he doing all right with Harmony?
He is.
Is he? Didn't you say
you guys bought a ton?
Didn't you say that somebody bought from another state, bought multiple gallons of it?
Massachusetts. Dog place.
A dog place.
Bought 4 gallons.
Is it like a dog?
He just said from a pet place.
A pet place. Well, that would be right. Harmony is our product from disinfectwithsniper.com. This is the complete organic flea and tick bug killer. This is something that is safe enough to spray on, your pet, on you, on your bed bugs, mites, all these little right? And then even if you dilute it a little bit and spray it, I think you can spray it directly in your vegetable garden.
No.
No?
Sniper, you can't. You dilute Sniper 2 to 1.
Okay. But this you can spray directly on.
Yeah. If you spray Sniper directly on your plants,
you're
going to kill your plants.
But if you Harmony on your plants.
Yeah, you can.
That's what I was thinking. Get the bugs off, particularly when you're looking at your tomatoes. I don't want that blight stuff and whatever the hell else is on there. I've had a really trashy vegetable garden, though, these last couple of years. It's been a bummer. Hopefully that's going to change. It's the spring of home improvements at my house.
That second guy
got
my ire this morning. This is what I said yesterday. They come out with the talking points. That whole going with a scalpel is a talking point, not a chainsaw. It's a talking point. And that guy, he turned off CNN to do that Zoom call. And it just, there should be no job out there that you can't lose. That just breeds complacency.
100%.
And with a business, listen, if Wendy Bell Radio started to suffer, Barack would be the first cut because the business could survive, just not on the radio. She could do it at home. You could do it somewhere else.
2.49. Holy cow. We literally with the reopen, we've got 2 minutes.
Like I'd like to say to that guy, okay, you're worried about let's just use a number, 10,000 people that lose their job. If the government goes bankrupt, everyone will lose their job. What would you rather have? That guy made me angry at 4 a.m.
Yes. Well, and then I added it. I don't know if you wanted me to add it or not, but I was like, I think it's so applicable to all of this.
All right. So you guys will not hear the open. I know you're not going to hear the open.
Don't let that keep you from rumbling. We are only at 253. I have 2 hours to get 1,500 rumbles. Like, let's go into the weekend strong. Besides, it's what? It's spring. It has nothing to do with anything, but doesn't it make you feel like you want to do something? It's beneficial. That little button, just click it. 2.56. 30 people paid attention to
The
that.
music is not for your guys' sake. It's for the radio's sake. That's why we.
Yes.
So
We're up to 57.8. Let's go, Demanda.
you can keep talking because the radio won't hear you.
Ah.
So you can keep pimping for rumbles.
Thank you for posting the links, Sherry. I appreciate that. Demanda, thank you for always nudging folks to do this and that. I appreciate that as well. And Darius,
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
I speak on behalf of my colleagues. I think I can say we are all willing to work with anyone who's serious about doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress.
People can yell at.
So I am going to tell you that Trump.
North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
That of impeachment against the president for dastardly deeds proposed.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things.
Living in a different world. 70% of Americans say Trump is doing what he promised to do.
And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
Hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is official here on the clock. Great to be with you. Common sense, conservative values delivered by a mom, right? And I think so much of the conversation that we have on this program, it's super frustrating because it seems so common. That whole common sense thing that we're given, the God-given gift to learn on our own, and it grows as you get older and you make mistakes, right? And then you're like, don't want to do that again. Well, why are we playing the same broken record again and again? And again, with the Democrats, I don't understand why the people on the left who have not awakened from their slumber, emerged from the woods in their hibernation to see what's really going on in the world. And it's called progress. It's called Donald Trump putting America first. It's called Donald Trump putting the feet to the fire of foreign countries and companies that want the privilege to have Americans buy their stuff, but have never wanted to pay for that privilege. Right? It's about a president who wants to secure the borders, a president who supports peace globally, who realizes that so much of war is garbage. And it's garbage weighed by fat cats who don't have any skin in the game, who are playing God with a generation of young men. That is exactly what's going on in Ukraine. And this president says no more. This is a president who says we need to do more with less. We've lost our vision. We've lost our focus. We need to get it back. We need to be better, faster, stronger. We need to be the ultimate Lee Majors, right? The $6 million man. We've become the, $2 Chuck instead. We need to do better. And we pledge to you, the American people, this administration in 4 years is going to make radical changes to fulfill that promise to you. Oh, impeach him. Outrageous. Can you believe what these people are doing? And you're like, what's wrong? What's going on? What are you all upset about? These are the people who demonized Robert F. Kennedy Jr. when he came out and said he wanted to run to challenge Joe Biden for the Democratic nomination for president, for his reelection. And they cut him off at the knees, and his whole family turned on him. And he became a zero in the eyes of the left. Isn't it amazing how quickly they turn if you're not in lockstep? What I found most refreshing about RFK Jr. is he just wanted to know, right? He just wanted to know from Fauci, well, what's in these vaccines? How have you tested them? Where's the data? Did you test the COVID vaccine on children? Did you test it on pregnant women? What did you test? What are the results of your tests? Just be honest with the American people. If you say this is the salvation out of a global pandemic, shouldn't you at least be expected to provide the data to prove to the people that it's safe? Well, they knew it wasn't safe, and they knew they didn't have the data. Fauci, that dirtbag, right? And they vilified RFK Jr. Oh, he's anti-vax. He couldn't be the furthest thing from anti-vaccine. He believes in science. He believes in modern medicine. But he also believes that along the way, there is an awful lot of room for grifting and for corruption, for fraud. And when that affects our children and our grandchildren, it's a full stop. No. I like that about him. So the guy's been on the job ostensibly since his confirmation in the Senate February 13th. I'm looking at my calendar here. I'm like, where's this guy been? And then yesterday, out comes this video. And I want you to hear how Elon and the Department of Government Efficiency have been working with the Department of Health and Human Services with Bobby Kennedy at the helm. Isn't that fantastic? A Democrat is a cabinet member in this administration, and yet Donald Trump needs to be impeached. That's rich. He posted this 6-minute video. It is a jaw-dropping expose of how quickly somebody like Elon and a thing like Doge can slice through the garbage, eliminate the fraud, and get us back on track. Audio soundbite number 1, RFK Jr. says America is sick, and we can't be okay with that anymore.
Hey, everybody, I'd like to share with you a paradox that I've encountered here in Washington, D.C. as the new secretary of HHS. Our department is filled for the most part with competent, conscientious public servants, and yet the agency has been inefficient as a whole. Over the past 4 years during the Biden administration, HHS's budget increased by 38%, and its staffing increased by 17%, but all that money has failed to improve the health of Americans. In fact, the rate of chronic disease and cancer increased dramatically as our department has grown. Our lifespan has dropped, so Americans now live 6 years shorter than Europeans. We are the sickest nation in the world, and we have the highest rate of chronic disease. The U.S. ranks last among 40 developed nations in terms of health, but we spend 2 to 3 times more per capita than those nations.
So the left is against Bobby Kennedy. The left is against him being in charge of HHS. The left tells you every single day they're against making America healthy again. Why? Why? Audio soundbite number 2, Bobby Kennedy says, look, the Department of Health and Human Services is a sprawling bureaucracy with no shared mission, and that changes now.
When I arrived, I found that over half of our employees don't even come to work. HHS has more than 100 communications offices and more than 40 IT departments and dozens of procurement offices and 9 HR departments. In many cases, they don't even talk to each other. They're mainly operating in silos. Sometimes these sub-agencies work at cross purposes with each other. Some of these little fiefdoms, for example, are so insulated and territorial that they actually hoard our patient medical data and sell it for profit to each other. Instead of remedying the chronic disease crisis, perverse incentives have administrators checking boxes and grading their own homework while public health declines.
Back to that black voter we talked about in the last hour, the man who had voted for Trump and isn't pleased with these chainsaw eviscerations of the public, or the government workforce. You should use a scalpel. Sir, if half of the employees at HHS, it employs 80,000 people. 40,000 people aren't coming to work. Do you think that's a problem, sir? Because it is a problem. Turn off CNN. Audio soundbite number 3, Bobby Kennedy. One outrageous example of total ridiculosity in HHS he found. Listen to this.
A few isolated divisions are neglecting public health altogether and seem only accountable to the industries that they're supposed to be regulating. In one case, defiant bureaucrats impeded the secretary's office from accessing the closely guarded databases that might reveal the dangers of certain drugs and medical interventions.
Wait a minute. I'm the Secretary of the Health and Human Services, and you're telling me that I can't have access to this information about what's in these medicines that our government's pushing on our children? Are you out of your minds? Yes, they've been drunk with power and money and this invincibility, and nobody's going to come and ask for us to provide receipts. That's what the IRS does to all those idiots out there who pay for all of this. And this is what I like. He says, but then Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency came over to help me. Listen.
I have some good news, though. As part of President Trump's DOGE workforce reduction initiative, we're going to streamline HHS to make our agency more efficient and more effective. We're going to imbue the agency with a clear sense of mission to radically improve the health of Americans and to improve agency morale. We're going to eliminate an entire alphabet soup of departments and agencies while preserving their core functions by merging them into a new organization called the Administration for a Healthy America, or AHA. We have 2 goals. The first is obvious, to save the taxpayer money by making our department more efficient. And the second is to radically improve our quality of service. I want to promise you now that we're going to do more with less. No American is going to be left behind. Our key services delivered through Medicare and Medicaid, the FDA and CDC, and other agencies will enter a new era of responsiveness and a new era of effectiveness. We're going to consolidate all of these departments and make them accountable to you, the American taxpayer, and the American patient.
Now, to that black voter who we played, who voted for Trump and isn't down with all of this cost cutting, all of these job cuts, all of these duplicitous jobs being identified and eliminated. What don't you like about what that man just said? What don't you like about what HHS is going through right now? We want to have a focus, and the focus is going to be on health and wellness. It's going to be a shared focus. Everybody who's going to come work for me is going to want to feel like, what can I do today to make America healthier again? And we're going to do it. We're going to make our air cleaner. We're going to make our water cleaner. We're going to make our food better. We're going to get all of this big pharma garbage out of the way, so that we can live as long and as beautifully as we deserve. Oh my gosh, get rid of that guy. Sounds like a cancer to me. What? When we come back, I've got one more audio soundbite with this gentleman, as we then take you to California, where there's a TikToker on the street outside a tent city, right? Which could be anywhere in California. And she's basically saying, hey, Elon, how about you come to California and figure out where all the money for homelessness went? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Now, see, if I was a Democrat and Bobby Kennedy was a Republican and he made sense like he just did, I would be like, hate him. As a Republican, I listen to him and I'm like, I don't really care what your politics are. What's your experience? Like, what's your expertise? What's your objective? What do you want to make America healthy? Okay, that's not political. I'm down with that. Well, how do you want to do that? Well, we want to cut waste and make things more effective, and then tell the truth about big pharma and what's actually going on with all of these drugs, and make sure that scientific testing is the best it can be, gold standard medical care for everybody. I'd be like, him. I like him. We don't have that. Now, if you have a certain number or letter after your name, or if you're deviating at all from what the progressive platform is, it's Tesla, Molotov cocktails for you. Because that makes sense. Got it. I want to tell you about Healthy Cell. I'm now panicking. I'm down to, oh boy, down to two. Two of my Focus and Recall. Focus and Recall. I'm kind of nervous because I get to this point because I've been taking it for so long, and I take it before the show. I woke up at 1 o'clock this morning. That's when my day began. I'd gone to bed at 8, so it's not like it was terrible. But 5 hours of sleep, had to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, so I went downstairs and I started working. Sometimes I wonder when I'm on fumes how I would make it without Focus and Recall. And it kind of makes me a little edgy. I'm like, I don't want to do it without you. Focus and Recall, great. Healthy Cell, a wonderful company. I love what they do. They get you nootropics, neurotransmitters, and something I can't pronounce because adaptogens. Okay, whatever it is, it's great. It works, and I love it. HealthyCell.com/Wendy, 20% off. I don't know why you wouldn't. And as you Focus and Recall, then at night, you're like, you know what? I just want to make sure I sleep well tonight. I'm going to take a REM sleep. And you take it about a half hour before you go to bed. And then you're like, it's true. It is true. I take it every day. 20% off. Wow, and I made it. I need to buy a lottery ticket. But look, as you're listening to Bobby Kennedy, is anybody like, what is there anything that Elon Musk, guys who work for him, Bobby Kennedy, all right, we've heard from so far. Anybody you disagree with? Anything extreme or radical where you're like, well, I don't know about it. Nothing. Cero for our Spanish friends. Cero.
Am I going to have to overnight ship some Focus and Recall?
I have an extra one at home.
Box or?
Yes.
Oh.
I don't wait till I'm down on the nub. I'm going for it. So 10,000 jobs he's cutting, and that's the headline. That's what the left is freaking out about. Oh my gosh! The real headline is, can you believe 10,000 people have been employed who shouldn't have been? And for how long? And how many of them are getting a 401k? And how many of them are getting health benefits?
They get pensions.
And how many of them, what are their pensions like? People who haven't gone in years. Suck it. Sit down. God. It's almost like it strikes a nerve with me. Do you think Newsmax is going to like my hair? Here, maybe I can fluff it up and make it bigger.
No, today with the sound, I'm running 2 different shows. So I have to run sound for them too.
Don't act like you want 2 beers instead of 1 later, because I know what you're doing.
Really?
I know him.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. All right, so we've been listening to Bobby Kennedy, HHS secretary, a guy whose entire career has been about the environment, has been about health and wellness. Guy was a heroin addict for 14 years. Can you believe that? I mean, does that just talk about somebody with perspective? Talk about somebody who understands the fragility of this beautiful thing that we have called life. And how many people out there just want to squander it by being malignant, loudmouths, liars. Kennedy says he's going to cut 10,000 jobs, HHS jobs, in this Maha overhaul. If you have 10,000 jobs that you can cut, that's going to lead to an improvement in services, Can you imagine for how long we have been funding the pensions and all of the kit and caboodle that comes with being a government worker? Can you imagine how long ago that could have happened and we wouldn't have been paying for it? Maybe we wouldn't be $36 trillion in debt. This is Bobby Kennedy's last audio soundbite in this first video that he drops, saying, I'm eternally grateful to Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency for helping us identify all of this. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. And he's like, look, throwing more money at a system that isn't working. It's not allowing us to live healthfully. It's not allowing us to live longer. So I don't know. What again is the definition of insanity? Listen.
Streamlining HHS is part of a shift to new priorities, especially ending the chronic disease epidemic with clean water, safe food, effective medicine, good science, radical transparency, and a healthy environment. I think most Americans would agree with me that throwing more money at healthcare isn't going to solve the problem, or would have solved it already. Obviously, what we've been doing hasn't worked. That's why we're making this dramatic overhaul. But the real overhaul is even bigger. The real overhaul is improving the health of the entire nation to make America healthy again.
Yes. Yes. There is no earthly reason why 2/3 of the population on this country is either obese or morbidly obese. And yet here we are. Now, this is where things get interesting. And I love watching people go on the street, take their phone, hand it to somebody, hold a microphone and be like, I'm looking at something like all this back here behind me, these homeless encampments, these people living in filth and squalor, while California's fat cats live in their mansions and finger wag the rest of us. Listen to a TikToker. She's had enough.
I'm in downtown LA, Skid Row, and I want to point out a few things that's gone on here in the past few years. In 2023, Gavin Newsom set aside $750 million to build tiny homes for people just like this that are surrounding by me. Somehow that money is gone. In 2019, they set aside $24 billion to go towards the homeless. Somehow that money is gone. It's unaccounted for. I want to talk about a few politicians from here. One is Nancy Pelosi. She's been serving these people since 2007. Her net worth is over $120 million. Another person here, Maxine Waters, she's been serving the people here in California since 1990. Her net worth is over $10 million. And Gavin Newsom, who knows what his net worth is, but we know he is building a $9 million home in San Francisco, California. There are leaders, the leaders of California, they failed these people here in Los Angeles and in California. California has actually been one of the highest states in America that people have fled from. Over 66 million people have left California in the last few years, and yet Gavin Newsom, he's out there holding a podcast when he should be working on his state. He might be making a run for it in 2028, and I hope people remember this that's behind me.
There is a desperation in the establishment because the more women like that, the more men like the black voters who voted for Trump in November start doing videos like that, the more proof there is that everybody sees what's going on. Elon Musk said it earlier in this hour, and if you missed it, please go back to the beginning on our podcast. Wendy Bell Radio is where you'll find it on wherever you get your favorite listening material. But he's like, look, I like good people, not people who pretend that they're good but do bad and want you to think that they're good. I like good. Yes, sir. Yes. We are in agreement. When we come back on the Wendy Bell Radio program, the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, just dropped a monster number. Do you know how many near collision events there were at Reagan National before that mishap last month? Oh boy. Next. I saw this number and I was like, what? How is that even possible? Like, look, Stay home, stay calm, stay scared, right? That might have worked for Richard Levine in Pennsylvania during COVID. But when you've got people, 67 people who die in the most barbaric way, I saw them pull that freaking helicopter out of the river. Did you guys see the front of it? Oh my gosh. That there weren't immediate changes like right then. And these people are stonewalling and slow walking and, well, we might give you our data. Well, we might not. Look, pal, I'm sorry, but that era is over, right? We're not slow walking anything. We're going to fix stuff. Fix it. I can't fathom being in a plane. I mean, like, and who doesn't think about that when they're on a plane? They're like, oh dear God, oh dear God. Not even if you're a nervous person, you're just like, please, my whole family's on this plane. Or I say this all the time when a couple of us are on the plane. It's Joe and me and maybe the twins. I'm like, oh please, oh please. Or it's like later this year, 6 of us are traveling and Michael is meeting us. Can you imagine? Please don't let something happen so that Michael is left alone. I mean, I say it all the time. How can you not? When you hear the number and then you hear the daily breakdown on how many collisions have been averted. Okay. I just can't.
What would Brock do?
The Disc Institute of Pittsburgh is this very special place, but the website itself, I think, is far more important for you to bookmark. So if you're on your computer and you have a moment to open up your notes or a website or what have you, a toolbar, put in pittsburghdiscinstitute.com. pittsburghdiscinstitute.com. Open it up and read some of the success stories, read some of the testimonials. When you do a procedure that allows people to avoid surgery and the procedure is 98% successful, 96% successful after 5 years, I'm going to go with you've got some secret sauce. And when you look at the numbers that 80% of us, 4 out of 5 of us, are going to need to have a spinal specialist in our life at some point. I'm like, I'm going to make that pittsburghdiscinstitute.com, 412-906-9600. Read about it. Intradisc neutrosis. It works. How about that? It just works. I like that. Avoid surgery. Have therapy instead so your discs regenerate. This cute dress just came up on my computer. Maybe I need to buy it. Just kidding. Kind of Holly Hobby. I think I'll say no. Kennedy slashing 10,000 jobs. That's good. That's good. If you can slash 10,000 jobs, it's probably because there's 20,000 could be slashed.
I just love these people who work for the government who are outraged at job loss. It's like,
yeah,
you know, I used to work at a place that every Thanksgiving, fourth quarter, you knew someone was getting fired. You just hoped it wasn't you. And
was that just the system?
What's that?
Was that just the system? Like, was that the end of the year? And
yeah, they just were cutting costs, you know, and now this person's going to do 2 jobs so we can get rid of that one job.
Yeah.
And you just waited.
Yeah.
What are they getting rid of next? And am I going to have to cover that?
Right.
People get fired every day.
2.93. Wow. We're going to be lucky if we get 3.5 today. Well, Holly Hobby, you remember Holly Hobby? I had a doll of her when I was a kid. Famous Jameson says, me too.
Who?
Holly Hobby? Boys don't know.
If it wasn't Transformers or G.I. Joe.
Oh, I had them too.
Or something sports
Who
related.
else had a Stretch Armstrong? I did. Mm-hmm.
I had an Evil Knievel.
Mm. Did you have a
you
big
pull
wheel?
the string and he go.
Did you have a big wheel?
Yeah, when I was little. It was like a hand-me-down big wheel.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm. Let's see. What else
couldn't
did
get
we
too
have?
big wheels. How about the kids who had those motorized ones? I was always jealous.
Did you have a Rubik's Cube?
Yeah.
Did you have the game Operation?
Yeah. Those were affordable. Those were affordable. No, I'm not crying. I'm just saying those kinds of things.
Newsflash: we had the same upbringing. So
really,
yes,
okay,
yes. My sister and I got as a claw game once, a little guy, a parachute guy with a parachute pack, and so if you threw him, his parachute would open.
Oh, I had one of those.
We played with that for an entire summer until she chucked it up in the silk tree in our front yard. We were waiting for a stiff wind, blustery weather to blow it out. Never did. I know.
What a ruiner.
I
You
might
had a
go
rough upbringing.
Days on Thursday. Maybe I'll see if I can go find an old school parachute man and send it to her. She'll know exactly what it's about. I'm not a ruiner.
No, not you.
Oh, my sister.
Yeah.
Oh, that's mean.
She ruined it.
Well,
it's
the slow walking of major changes to make America safe and healthy again is so frustrating. I cannot stand slowness when it comes to something that's an imminent danger to each of us. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Look, I'm looking through the lens of a mom. This is who I am. It's what I do. And if you've ever been on a plane with your family, or even worse, if you've ever traveled without your family, it's hard not to sit in your seat, strap in your seatbelt, and to say a quiet little prayer. Please, God, let me get where I'm going. Please, God, let me come back to my family. And if you're like my family, my husband always says, text me when you land. I want to know that you made it where you're going safely. It's always in the back of your mind. So when this accident happened at Reagan International Airport, you had the military helicopter, you had the plane, and then you had this collision midair, 67 people dead, fishing them out of the river. It is a jaw-dropping, slam on the brakes moment to quickly assess what happened, why did it happen, and what do we need to do now so that it doesn't happen again. I mean, isn't that what we all want out of our government? Responsive action? If there's a problem, I don't know, like an entire community burns to the ground. And an investigation into that identifies, wait a minute, the reservoirs are dry, the fire hydrants are dry. Some of the fire hydrants have been stolen because they have brass components and people steal them for scrap metal because the economy in California sucks. And up in the northern part of the state, there's this giant spigot that we're diverting into the ocean so it doesn't trickle down to our beautiful rich farmland and provide ample water to every single person who's overtaxed to like out the wazoo in California. If we can't identify that and get the water on, like, what are we doing? Well, you're living in a Democrat-run environment. And 77 million people just a couple months ago said, yeah, about that, we don't want to do that anymore. We don't want to do that with the health of our children anymore. We don't want to do that with our border anymore. These people who are new to my neighborhood, who are they? Get them out. Yeah, we don't want that. And when that helicopter and that plane collided, and 67 voices were snuffed out in an instant, hopefully in an instant, a lot of us were saying, no, what's going on? How many collisions does it take for our skies to become safe? Yesterday, there was a hearing, and you have to like the speed with which this has happened. Happened 2 months ago. It's a tragic accident. Immediately shut down all of the helicopters on this particular runway that the military was doing training exercises from. They immediately shut it down and said, all right, let's figure out what the issue is. Yesterday is this hearing. You've got the National Transportation Safety Board chair, this woman named Jennifer Homendy. She's in the hot seat. She's talking about, all right, we did a dive. We need to figure out what's going on. As the families of many of these crash victims are in this hearing, they want to know what happened. And they're suing. As well they should. I'm not a big litigious person. But if you know of demonstrable evidence of danger and you're working with people who don't take it seriously and don't make changes now, that's actionable. So we know that the crash victims' families have slammed the FAA as a report identifies how many near misses have occurred at this airport. This Jennifer Homendy, NTSB chair, she's going to say in 3 years, we did a dive. And in 3 years, this is the number we found of how many near collisions we suffered on this one particular spot at this one particular airport. Listen.
Which is why, in conjunction with the release of our preliminary report, we also issued 2 urgent safety recommendations to the FAA. In both reports, we cited FAA surveillance data that showed between October 2021 and December 2024, there were over 15,000 close proximity events between commercial aircraft and helicopters at DCA. In reviewing that and other data, including airport operations and established helicopter routes, we determined that the separation distances between helicopter traffic operating on Route 4 and aircraft using runways 15 and 33 are insufficient and pose an intolerable risk to aviation safety.
15,000 near collisions at that one airport? What? I did the math. That is 12.6 near crashes every day. Like, at what point would you have been somewhere saying, I think we need to stop. I think we need to probably hit the brakes on this. We need to figure out what's going on, because the safe proximity is beyond 85 feet. Do you know how close that is? You've got a big jet coming in. You got a helicopter. As long as they're 85 feet apart, well, they're okay. What? All right, so that's not even the worst part of this story. So there's a guy the Biden administration promoted, an airman in the Army. He's been promoted to brigadier general. This guy's name is Matthew Brahman. He's an Army brigadier general who oversees, he's the director of Army aviation. So it was an Army helicopter, right, that was taking off as this passenger jet is coming in. What happened? Well, apparently there's a sensor aboard this particular, all of these helicopters, right? And the sensor puts them in a satellite position. I'm going to tell you what it is here in just a minute. It's called the ADS-B, the Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast. It's a technology that allows helicopters to broadcast their location, their altitude, and other data, enabling tracking and collision avoidance, and is increasingly being used for helicopters. Except not for the Army's helicopters, that happen to be taking training missions and other things from Reagan International Airport. Here is this Brigadier General Brayman in the hot seat with Senator Ted Cruz, who's going to ask, how many of these helicopters, like the one that collided with this jet, how many of these have this particular tracking device turned off when they're doing training exercises from Reagan International Airport? Oh boy.
In your one pager, you said 75% of the flights are mission rehearsal readiness flights. Are those operated with ADS-B out?
They are, Senator, yes.
So right now, today, the Army is flying helicopters in and around DCA Airport with ADS-B out, turned off. Is that correct?
When conducting their NORTHCOM directed mission, that is correct.
I have to say I find that shocking and deeply unacceptable. And I want to encourage the Army right now to revisit that policy and to revisit that policy today. And I can tell you, if the Army chooses not to, I have a high level of confidence that Congress will pass legislation mandating that you revisit the policy. If today another accident occurs over DCA with another helicopter that had ADS-B out turned off, the Army will have very direct responsibility for that.
So 67 people died. And if this particular thing was on maybe they would have averted the deaths of those people and the horror of that accident. And you, Mr. Brigadier General, you, the guy who's in charge of aviation, you're telling me right now that 3 out of every 4 of these training missions that your Army helicopters are going on do not have this satellite tracking system clicked on? Yes, that is correct. In what world is that okay? It's not. And then it gets worse. Cruz asks this Brigadier General Brahman on an Army memo from last summer, right? 6-7 months ago, an Army memo last summer about how many Army helicopters are flying around without these transponders on. I expect you to give me that memo, sir, because your office hasn't been doing so yet. Do I have your commitment? Listen to the answer.
That's my understanding. The Army has a memo, August 9th, 2024, entitled ADSB Out Off Operations in the National Airspace. My staff requested that memo from you, and my understanding is your team declined to provide it. That is also unacceptable. I want to ask you at this hearing, will you commit to providing that memo to this committee?
Senator, I'll commit to reviewing the information and getting what we can to you. Absolutely.
That answer needs to be a yes, that you will provide that memo to this committee.
Senator, we'll review that and we'll look at the ability to give it to the committee. Absolutely.
If it is not provided to this committee within 24 hours, I am confident that you will have a senior commanding officer give you a direct order to provide that that memo to this committee. And I just want to underscore, there's no reason the Army has to wait for the conclusion of the NTSB report to revisit your policy on ADSB out. You can do so right now.
You and I pay for this. Your taxes are out of control to pay for this. This is a guy who, under the Biden administration, was elevated to be in charge of Army aviation, who is going to stonewall or slow walk or obfuscate or throw oatmeal into the works to gum up the progress of making air travel safer? Why? Pray tell. What's going on with the Army? And are we safe when we travel? Well, there are 67 families out there who can say to you, no, we are not. And just think, Joe Biden's changes to the parameters of qualifying for a job as an air traffic controller involve letting quadruple amputees, people who have seizures, who are epileptic, to be in charge of perhaps the most delicate dance, that of aviation. What in the hell has been going on? Democrats don't want you to know. Impeach them all. Really? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, pushing back against the Swamp Thing media narrative that somehow Pete Hegseth should be canned. Did you hear about the GOP senators growing some huevos? Oh, they have. Refreshing. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Where are the Democrats worried about those pilots?
Look.
Oh, they're already dead, so we don't have to worry about them.
There are simply the majority of all of these things transcend political parties.
Yeah, absolutely.
It should not be only we think this way and they don't, right? It shouldn't just be one person who's like, so I was curious, what's in that vaccine? What's in that? Yeah. What kind of testing did you do? You tested it on pregnant women? Yeah. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You tested it on 44 freaking pregnant rats and then told a bunch of women to go out there and get it. And how many of them had miscarriages? A hell of a freaking lot. Thousands. But but you should still have it on your CDC website. We encourage a booster. Man, I hope he takes care of all of that. It's almost like a lot of this stuff makes me angry. I'm sorry. I've got it together now. Let's see how you guys are doing with the rumbles.
Don't. Just saying.
I'm going to throw in the towel on that one. I'm not going to look. Very disappointed. Don't you hate that from your parents? Very disappointed. Aw. Look at Demanda. She's pimping us. Wendy Bell Radio was number 4 on the top global Rumble podcasters for 2024. Let's get her higher for this year. Demanda. My girl. This
Did
pains
you have
me.
Lincoln Logs as a kid?
Absolutely.
So
Well, no. I beg your pardon. No, I did not, but my children do.
Were they too expensive?
BHMD1.com. Beverly Hills MD. Dr. Lakey has a deep wrinkle filler for you, right? It's not going to fix your wrinkles. It's not going to all of a sudden you're going to wake up tomorrow and they're going to be gone. But today, while you have it on, you're going to go and you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to be like, how you doing? Now, this is where it's tragic because it's a white thing. Doesn't it look like you have more in there? Yeah, I don't.
I bet you took the plunger out and put your finger in there. You could get some.
How do you do that? Oh, I don't know. I will deconstruct this bad boy and I will fish it out. That's how I feel about Dr. Lakey. My hands are shaking because there's the potential.
Wow.
The potential. You should help me out. Come here, strong man. Come here. See if you can do this. Beverly. I'm serious. BHMD1.com, BeverlyHillsMD1.com. Look, he's giving you 2 months to get your money back. If you don't like it, you're going to like, is there a way to open that up? Hey, a girl has needs. A girl has needs before double nickels. Oh, you did. You did kind of, no. A real friend would find a way for me to dig my finger in there. I would do one of these. I would. And I'd be like, oh, he's going to cut. He's getting out utensils. This is good for us, ladies and gentlemen. Good for us. Kelly Morgan, Morgane's Fitness. Check her out. It's her birthday Monday. Happy birthday, Kel. She's phenomenal. Oh, you did it? Oh my gosh. Huh? Look, they tried to chip me. There's more in there. You gotta get your finger. No, my finger's too fat. See? Oh. Oh, Brock. Oh, Brock. Who loves you, Brock? Your wife.
Really? What'd she tell you?
Oh.
I hadn't gotten confirmation. Huh. What are you pointing?
It's going. Are we on or no?
Yeah, hold on a second.
All right, let's push back against this whole Swamp Thing narrative that for some reason Pete Hegseth needs to be fired. He needs to be replaced. Get rid of Pete Hegseth. Why would you want to get rid of that cutie? I'm sorry. Was that my inside voice? First of all, he's clearly not a member of the gang, right? This whole idea that this signal chat in which our American military strategy to attack the Houthi rebels who've been terrorizing shipping lanes in the Red Sea since 2023, somehow this is Pete Hegseth's doing. It's really kind of baffling to me because you have the National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz. He's the guy who's like, that was on me. I goofed. It was my mistake. I've had a conversation with the president. This journalist, hack guy, Goldberg, should not have been a part of this chat. I'm sorry. We're going to obviously make sure it doesn't happen again, but thank goodness it was such a strong strike. We took out this Houthi leader guy, which is huge. Yay, America. Why is it the Democrats are never yay, America? They never are. They're never pro-peace. They're never for pro-sanity. They're never pro-progress, pro-slimming down government. They're never for anything that common sense Americans are for. I don't get it. They're on the wrong side of everything. The part about this story, though, which I find so encouraging, is that you've got some coalescing among the GOP senators. What? And they're saying, suck it. We like Pete Hegseth. He ain't going anywhere. How about this headline? GOP senators rally behind Hegseth after Signal chat leak. They say calls for his firing are hot garbage. I agree. Nearly a dozen Republican senators coming to Hegseth's defense after Democrat call. You know, I don't understand why. Brock, do you know why they want Hegseth out? Like, what's the deal? Is it my thing that I'm feeling that he is the ultimate threat to them, that they need to eliminate people who they don't have bribery and blackmail information on?
That's what I think. He's 100% not part of the swamp.
Right.
And he's 100% behind Donald Trump and MAGA.
All right. So they've got their guns on him. Republican senators are standing behind Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth amid calls for his resignation over the Signal chat leak, telling Fox News Digital that calls for him to be fired are, quote, hot garbage. Trump administration national security officials are facing a barrage of negative media coverage this week. I don't care. This is after the Atlantic editor-in-chief Goldberg was included in a group chat on Signal, an encrypted messaging app, about a strike against the Houthis in Yemen. Goldberg later went on to publish the messages last Wednesday, right? Or was it even just this Wednesday? It was this Wednesday. It seems like it's been so long. Well, Hegseth has doubled down that no war plans or classified information was shared during the Signal group chat of Trump administration officials, blah, blah, blah. Amid Goldberg's publication of the messages, Democrats have been calling for Hegseth and other officials to resign, which is so intriguing. It's so intriguing and it's so hypocritical when these are the people who refuse to call the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan other than the disaster that it was. And when I hear that there are Republicans getting together and pushing back, this is an important part of the process, this change that's going on in our country right now. Not only is it an obvious airing of the objectives of the Democrats, and the objectives of the Democrats, it's simple. It's to stay in power, to stay grifty, to stay slimy and swampy in perpetuity, and to silence and get rid of anybody who threatens that. But that Republicans are standing up, that we listen to Doug Collins, the secretary for the VA, stand up and push back against a garbage narrative by CNN's Caitlin Collins, and to turn the tables around and to say, you know what? I'm not accepting your line of questioning. I want to ask you a question. Why are you so fill in the blank? Why are you so eager to be against veterans? Why are you so eager to diss on the United States military? Why are you doing everything in your power to stop the mandate of 77 million people? And you're hearing it more and more. The GOP in the Senate has been a meandering bunch of cats, right? And they're coming together to stand back and push back, I should say, against the propaganda, not only from their party, but from the media. This is a triumphant development. This is part of making America great again. This is putting the propagandists on notice, the way Ted Cruz put that Army Brigadier General on a 24-hour notice. I want the memo on my desk, sir. Do you hear me? Let's continue the conversation next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. All right. And we're going to talk about this lovely gentleman, Jeffrey Goldberg, here in just a minute. And I'm going to push my pen in here without the thing on. Oh, yes. Yes. Who else would go to that level to love their boyfriend? I don't know many. I would. Who's younger? I am. Nothing, Brock.
I'm waiting for it to kick in.
Oh my goodness.
You know, talking about the toys,
Yes.
it made me think of how you getting a new garage door, how your kids beat up your garage. So my brother and I used to play wiffle ball all the time. That was our thing, was wiffle. And well, we found the electrical tape and didn't know how expensive electrical tape was back
Did you
then.
wrap the wiffle ball
So
in?
we got yelled at. Well, you wrap half the wiffle ball so you can still have the holes and you can make it move. But it wasn't so much the electrical tape as they get kind of heavy.
Yes.
And when they hit the aluminum siding, they dent it. So our house had a lot of dents in it.
Can you describe my garage door?
Oh, yours is a mess. Is it a piece of wood or cardboard over the one window?
It's taped on.
The window.
The window is taped into place. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got a tan, guys. Sorry. I became Elvira. All right, so let's see how this works. You guys will know if you want to try it or not. That is commitment.
Someone said turn off the filter so we can tell. Let me see. I don't want you touching the filter.
That's so cold.
No, I don't want you touching anything right now. It's gonna bother me all day.
No, we'll figure it out. Well, see, here's the problem though. If we can you test it without us being on the air?
No.
Well,
I think we're gonna shut the computer down. I'll blow on sometimes the tips, and I just didn't have time to do that, can get sometimes just blowing on it, taking it apart, and maybe sanding it down tip it down a little bit.
really sanding it down?
Not sanding it down,
Oh.
like wiping it off and getting crud, because we really don't take that out very often.
I got a birthday present at my house.
It's not my birthday.
I got a birthday present at my
Oh.
house. Mhm.
I gotta get you something.
No, you really don't.
Yeah.
You really don't. It was a yellow rose.
Did you like what I got you last year?
I forget what you got me last year.
The holster?
Love
Thanks
that.
for remembering.
Love that.
Thanks
No,
for remembering.
Is my course is like my what do you call
It's a corset.
it? It is a corset.
But it has a holster in it because
You
you
bought
kept
me
saying,
a lacy piece of lingerie.
yeah, oh yeah, that holds a 9mm.
It's great. It's very nice.
Because
It
you
comes
kept
with-
saying, I don't have anything that I can wear.
See, I'm not a big shopper, so I need to get more like blousier clothing so I can hide the bulge. People might think it's my very large chest.
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
Well, it would be one side. You'd be like, oh man, something happened to that one.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see who else do we have to talk about.
50. She is turning 55.
The Simkovich Concussion Institute is a very special place to Brock and me, obviously, because we hope it's going to give him some lasting peace. And please, can we make that a priority this week to figure out when you want to do that, Brock? All right. So
it's tough. I'm asking you to do something, so I don't want to put you out. So
well, no, I mean, I just think we need to figure out how long he needs you.
Okay.
And can we do this in 3 days? Because I'll tell Mary Beth, I will skip and I'll get you where you're going. Unless Kate wants to do this. You know, I'd rather not Bigfoot your wife out of the way here just because you and I
You'd
work.
be like, okay, let Wendy do it.
Well, I mean, maybe she can, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So why don't you
I
check
can
with
get you
her?
out one day on a Tuesday or something.
Let's see her schedule. That would be great. But anyway, we were both so interested in what Dr. Simkovich does. And we've gotten some great testimonials from people who went to his Concussion Institute. And they're like, oh my gosh, I knew I was messed up. I didn't know how much I was messed up until I got fixed at Dr. Simkovich's. And we're like, what does he even do? Like, I talk about him for 3 years, 4 years. And I'm like, I've never seen what he does. And so we asked if Brock could come in as an epileptic who's clearly fallen during seizures and has hit his head. Is there damage there? Is there something that is wrong inside of Brock in his head that Dr. Simkovich can identify and perhaps even fix? Selfishly, for my friend, I wanted that, right? We didn't realize that in the first 30 seconds, he was going to identify a tender spot on Brock's face and be able to also see how something has gotten askew in his head from hitting the ground or what have you that can be fixed. I was like, what? So we put together a video. It's on the locals page. You can see it there. Simkovich Concussion Institute, 412-366-3700. I mean, can you imagine the video I'm going to do after you go and have treatment? Because he's been having some headaches and whatnot. You shouldn't be having headaches. So let's get
only
fixed.
from 9 to noon.
Whatever. You can drive your own self to them. I don't care. Whatever. Oh. Wow, I do have a lot of hair today. Sorry, guys, but oh well. Sometimes it's fun to see if Newsmax is paying attention. I remember when they were
dipping.
I remember. Oh, they're going in and out. That pisses people off.
It does. And then I get emails. Why are you doing this? I'm not.
We have a really special good news. I think Sharon gave it to me. She sends me them every week. I love them. Love them. Sat there in the dark crying because I'm emotional.
It's pretty touching.
I'm emotionally unstable.
No, it's pretty touching.
That's pretty touching.
I mean, yeah, you're unstable. Spade to spade.
About lunch.
Welcome to your daily jab of truth.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane. Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
Represent extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
You have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea. 3 hours of bold truth, excellence, and optimism for America. The Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is official. You know what we try to do on this program is go beyond the headlines. And in fact, oftentimes I'll give you a headline and then we'll talk about like 2 paragraphs of a story and I'll go on in some tangent. But this is one of those cases where you need to absolutely go beyond the headlines. Everything that's being printed right now, it is so unbelievably unfair and dishonest, so biased, dripping with bias. And as a former television news anchor and reporter, I can tell you, I find it deeply offensive that this is the degree of quote unquote journalism today. You know, any journalism school out there that's going to put kids through the programs that I went through in college and graduate school, I really hope that those young people getting out, getting into this industry, realize what's at stake. Because there is a dearth of this country that believes what the media says anymore. And this institution is on its way to absolute irrelevance. Look at what's going on with podcasters, right-wing podcasters. No, what did we do? We got told to stay home and stay calm and stay safe during COVID as they lied to us and propagandized and the media gave us garbage images of panic and terror to stoke the fear so we would acquiesce to their demands to get an experimental gene scrambler, which has had so many problems and nobody's willing to have an honest conversation about it. You don't just pick up the rug and sweep that underneath. I mean, this stuff, it deserves critical thinking. It deserves honest conversation. And until we get honest people in the right places, we're not going to have those. So I wanted to do a little experiment, if you will. This guy, Jeffrey Goldberg, was a reporter for The Atlantic who somehow failed upwards and became its editor-in-chief. This is the man who's trying to tell the country that we have a bunch of morons in this Trump administration who allowed him to be on this group chat, put all these lives in danger. They have war plans and oh my heaven. Whatever you know or don't know about that particular story, let's tell you what we know about this reporter. Because shouldn't his character, shouldn't his track record be in scrutiny? I believe it should. And this particular story hits me on many levels. I have a deep respect for the military. Deep. Is it perfect? No. Do I have tremendous admiration and gratitude to anyone who's willing to do whatever it needs to protect this country? Yes. And this Jeffrey Goldberg fellow trampled all over that. And I wanted to resuscitate a story that you need to be reminded of when you hear these people make wild allegations about war plans, about malfeasance, about a cavalier, if you will, attitude about transmitting top secret information, none of which is true. This comes to us from The Federalist. This is one of my favorite sites. And this is the headline, and it takes us back to October, the 22nd, in fact, right before the election. And this is the headline. Sister of deceased soldier blasts The Atlantic for latest anti-Trump fabrications. Remember when Trump went to Arlington and he met with Gold Star families at the graves of their dead? They invited him, and President Trump went the same way he went to Long Island to pay his respects to that police detective in New York who was killed by an illegal. This is what he did. Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of far-left propaganda outlet The Atlantic, published an article Tuesday, again, this is in October, with glaring fabrications about former President Donald Trump's interactions with the families of fallen service members and his outlook on military leadership. This is going to piss you off. Goldberg's dishonest hit piece is the latest in a long line of far-left outlets lying and deceiving the American people before a major election. Mayra Gillen, the sister of fallen soldier Vanessa Guillen, whose family was featured as proof in Goldberg's piece, slammed the outlet and Goldberg for exploiting her sister's death. Wow. I don't appreciate how you're exploiting my sister's death for politics, hurtful and disrespectful to the important changes she made for service members, Mayra stated. President Donald Trump did nothing but show respect to my family and Vanessa. In fact, I voted for President Trump today. Mayra's comments come after Goldberg claimed that Trump displayed, quote, contempt, rage, parsimony, and racism at the thought of helping the Guillen family pay for Vanessa's funeral. Vanessa was bludgeoned to death by another soldier at Fort Hood, Texas, and her family was invited to the Oval Office to meet with Trump. Her death was also an impetus for military reforms for women at bases at the state and federal levels. According to Goldberg's article, upon hearing that the funeral cost $60,000, Trump said, "It doesn't cost $60,000 to bury an effing Mexican." Does that sound like something President Trump would say? Well, that's what he says. This is what Jeff Goldberg said he said. And he alleges that President Trump said that to Mark Meadows, his chief of staff at the time. Don't pay it. The Guillen family is of Mexican origin. While Goldberg's claims are sourced by contemporaneous notes and, quote, a witness, they were disputed publicly by senior members of the Trump administration who were actually in the room at the time of the alleged incident. Quote, any suggestion that President Trump disparaged Ms. Guillen or refused to pay for her funeral expenses are absolutely false, Meadows said on social media. He was nothing but kind, gracious, and wanted to make sure that the military and the U.S. government did right by Vanessa and her family. Goldberg's smear piece is in line with his 2020 lie, the suckers and losers hoax that was also heavily rebutted by nearly everybody involved, which he originated late in the election season as well. Conveniently, Democrats have since been rolling that hoax every single time Trump mentions the military, as they did again in the aftermath of Trump attending the Arlington National Cemetery ceremony. As my colleague, the reporter of this article, writes, Jordan Boyd wrote, nearly 24 Trump White House officials debunked the hit piece, which only received confirmation from one source outside of Goldberg. In the same way, Goldberg's newest screed is thinly sourced and relies on anonymous testimony while ignoring or devaluing on the record statements. Goldberg also appears as to have invented out of thin air a denial from Meadows spokesman Ben Williamson, saying that Meadows, quote, denied having heard Trump made this statement. In reality, Meadows said Trump absolutely never said it. More disgusting lies from the media. Kash Patel had said at the time on social media, I was there. This is the actual truth from the family of the fallen. Donald Trump put them first, like he always does with our service members. America, always. Look, we could go on, and I could tell you more, because this reporter, Jeff Goldberg, who all the cries about, get rid of Pete Hegseth, somebody should be impeached or fired or replaced or reprimanded. There should be tribunals for this. All predicated on this one reporter. Is it a coincidence that he was the one who was added to this chat? I don't know. It could have been what they say. It could have been an inadvertent mistake, something that was loaded onto the chat before the administration took over. I don't know. Maybe his name was added purposefully so that we could have these conversations, so that we could eliminate some of these leading voices spreading fake news out there. But these are the stories and the headlines that one man in that NBC story, the focus group on black men who voted for Trump in swing states, that man said he wasn't pleased with how DOJ was eliminating jobs in the federal government. The only reason that man said that is because he is a victim of the very propaganda that is now spearheading some get rid of these people over this chat conversation. If you can't trust the person writing this story, you can't trust the story. Any questions? When we come back on the Wendy Bell Radio program, the Department of Government Efficiency employee who says the federal government should be run the way we run our households. And it's not. Perhaps the best sound of the day. Next.
Come in and try something. But I think I found a way to test it if need be. After the show.
I think it kind of helped. I think I look tired. I think I'm starting to look my age, which is a bummer. Let me tell you about the healthy fat. Oh my gosh, I've been so remiss in talking about the healthy fat. So Dr. Stephen Gundry has developed a drink. He created this drink that it says even on it, it says it's a dietary supplement. This one is watermelon lemonade. It's quite delicious. MCT Wellness, but you get it by going to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Why do you want this? Why do you think this is interesting? Well, this is how Dr. Gundry says he lost 70 pounds. And this is how he said he's known thousands of people who've lost significant amounts of weight and have kept it off. And he said, this is the key. This is the key because it unlocks a part of your body that's apparently holding onto a bunch of calories as though you're going to need them because you're going to starve or something. And so it holds on to them. And he says this flips the switch and allows your body to be like, out of here. Does it work? Dr. Gundry says it does. You can try it. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. And I have been remiss in talking about Dr. Marty's. So Brock and I were on the live stream this morning. And Murphy had gone out and he went out real fast. Well, I was thinking about it. I'm like, I don't think he actually pooped. I'm like, that's not a good thing for you, dog. You better go out there and do your business. But he had heard me rustling the bag before I opened up the door where he is and opened up his crate and let him out from the night. He heard me rustling the bag of Dr. Marty's Healthy Dog. Oh my gosh. healthydog1.com/Wendy. Once you start feeding it to your dog, things start to change. They stop itching. They stop stinking. They eat all of their food. They become really good boys and girls. They know what's coming and they're like, I want that. It's delicious and it's super good. And it's freeze dried. It's not baked kibble. So all of the stuff isn't baked out of it. It's delish if Murphy and Sinatra are any indication. It comes with a wonderful video. healthydog1.com/Wendy. Healthy Dog One. Try one bag. Just try one bag and let me know what you think. WendyBellRadio@gmail.com. Well, let's see. Let's see if Mr. Magic over here has done it. You know what? That's just, it takes a special slice of crazy to make up a fictitious story. I wonder if he's ever had a book deal. Jeff Goldberg. Do you think he's a New York Times bestselling author?
Am I? No.
Let's see. Jeffrey Goldberg. That would be a perfect way to pay somebody back for doing that. Jeff Goldberg. Jeggery is what I wrote. Whoops. Jeffrey Goldberg. Best-selling author. Oh, yes. Get out. Jeffrey Goldberg books. How many? Wow, quite a few. That's a shock. Did it work?
I don't know. You gotta give me a second.
I'm sorry. So my response to anybody out there who is worried about the true objectives of this Department of Government Efficiency. What have you gotten so far? What have you learned so far that you do not like? What have you gotten that is perhaps concerning to you? I'm wondering. I'm going to bring up the Doge page right now. We're going to look at this as I play this audio soundbite for you. So Elon and some of the guys on his team sat down for an interview last night. We played in the first hour of today's program, a big chunk of that. But I stumbled upon this gentleman later on in my morning, and I had to grab it. He's one of these workers with the Department of Government Efficiency, and he said something that is very black and white. right? This isn't hearsay. It's not anonymous sources. It's not people familiar with the investigation. It's not this nebulous, weird world of pseudo news. He's saying, look, the government cannot pass an audit. What more do you need as evidence that what we're doing is necessary for the survival of the greatest place on planet Earth? Listen.
One, we're changing the culture. The culture is been not a lot of caring and not a lot of commitment to doing what's right relative to financial operations. There's a $500 billion of fraud every year. There's hundreds of billion dollars of improper payments, and we can't pass an audit. The consolidated financial report is produced by Treasury, and we cannot pass it on. We have material weaknesses. What that means is that if I was a public company CFO, I would effectively be removed. I couldn't file financial statements. I couldn't issue securities, which of course we depend on. Can't pass an audit.
Right. The federal government cannot pass an audit. It's impossible. In fact, in order to pass an audit, you need the information necessary to pass an audit. You need to have the payment codes, you need to have the payment explanation, and you need to have a person you can contact to understand why that payment was made. None of those things were mandatory until just recently, just a few weeks ago. In fact, maybe last week?
Yeah, we're serving 580 plus agencies. And up until very recently, effectively they could say make the payment and Treasury just sent it out as fast as possible. No verification. And so what we're doing is what any household would do. But imagine you're a household, you have a bank account, everyone has an ATM card connected to that account, everyone has a checkbook connected to that account. It's not just your children, it's not just your parents, it's your in-laws, it's your extended family, and they all can go to the account and disperse funds. No questions asked, no justification, no verification.
And it was just last week that all of a sudden these charges or these changes to the system have been made so that when money goes out, there has to be an end point and it has to say next to it, this is for such and such, and this is being received by so-and-so. Because that was such a big deal for them to do? Of course not. Come on. This is the biggest grift in American history. This is giant. And I just clicked on the Department of Government Efficiency X page. Here's an update. Yesterday, agencies terminated 113 wasteful contracts with a ceiling value of $4.7 billion and a savings of $3.3 billion, including a $145,000 USDA consulting contract for Peru climate change activities. Do you know what this is? This is no different than the Biden crime family syndicate, right? What was their strategy? We're going to make it so difficult to connect the dots that anybody who wants to snoop around, who thinks that we shouldn't have made $30 million at a minimum that we know of selling access to the office of Joe Biden and any of his iterations in government to Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Russia, China, you name it, fill in the blanks, right? We're going to make it so complicated for them to find out. This is exactly what's been going on in the government. We're going to add 9 family members. We're going to make sure all of the payments to them are under the 10,000 threshold where banks are alerted. Blah, 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 something's going on here. We're going to spread the money in all of these various shell companies. None of the dots seemingly are going to connect. And hopefully it'll just frustrate the bejabbers out of people. And they'll be so exhausted even thinking about it, they'll have to abandon their purpose and move along so we can continue collecting our money. In a microcosm, actually, this is the ecosystem of the federal bureaucracy, right? Do whatever you can to avoid oversight, to avoid scrutiny, to avoid any kind of asking and answering questions. Just make it so daggone cumbersome. Make it like running through quicksand. Nobody's going to want to do it. And nobody has wanted to do it until one man at a dinner party in October of 2023, musing to himself, wouldn't it be amazing if we could streamline the government and make it fit and lean? And that one man is Elon Musk. When we come back, this is the most brilliant idea of the month. Are you ready for this? You know the guy who used to write the Dilbert cartoons, Scott Adams? Well, he's been very conservative. And he comes up with something beautiful, a new department of government something or other. You're going to love this. It's for the leftists. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
That did not work.
It did not. Okay.
It was an easy try, so I figured it was worth it.
Well, no, and I appreciate that. I'm going to use the bathroom. I'll be right back. Say nice things about me.
I won't.
How do I look, guys?
Wonderful.
See? No, I think it matters. I do.
Okay.
Fitness.com. You've taken all the excuses out of it.
I think Mike Walls is dirty. I told Wendy that this morning. Something is fishy, or someone that works with him is dirty. There's that Wong guy or something like that. Juan or Wong. Something tells me that they know something. Because we talk about blackmail and bribery all the time. Well, they don't have anything on Hegseth. That's why in the one hearing, the idiot congressman said, was he asking Tulsi Gabbard and Ratcliffe, was he drinking before these? Like, they're supposed to know. If it was, it might have been a staffer. That staffer needs to be fired. But, and there's a difference too. I was listening to Brian Dean Wright this morning, and a former CIA operative, he said there's a difference between classified, there's a difference between sensitive, like there's these multiple classifications of information. And I mean, that's where you become word salad type thing. You know, you start playing semantics where Pete Hegseth is saying this isn't classified. Well, maybe I don't know, but in Signal, are they able to pass along to each other sensitive information? They're all dirty. Everyone that's been in Congress, to me, is dirty. And that's why Wendy Bell is the best.
Wow, it's almost like that was made up.
It was just perfect timing.
I have a question for you.
Uh-oh. Do I want to answer this?
It's a personal question.
Oh, boy. Go ahead.
If you have a seizure during the show, what should I do? Just keep talking?
Keep talking. And when we go to keep talking until the bottom or top of the hour where it automatically clicks over, and then it will screw everybody up. And then just wake me up and we'll go back to.
How do I wake you up? Like, I'll be over here.
Well, you know,
over there.
Right. I mean, like when you can run over, and I'll show you today. You could play some bumper music and stuff, and that way the radio's filled. Just wake me up. Just shake me, bring me back to, hey, you had a seizure. Let's go. I'll say, no, I didn't. You'll say, yes, you did.
Is denial part of it?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. For me, it is. I'll say I didn't. You'd be like, well, that's when you need to be mean. Be like, well, then get up and do your job. And then I'll sort of snap out. The gentle way with me is not the way to do it.
He was lying on the ground and the chair was all wrapped up around his legs and his glasses. So I had to try to move the chair anyway. He was coming out of it and I was sitting like crouching next to him. And I'm sort of like,
no, I don't feel when it's coming on.
I'm like rubbing his shoulder or whatever, like, sort of like this, like, you okay? And he looked at me and I'm like, you okay? And he went, and he took my hand and he put it off of him. And I'm like, he's fine. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and what did we do? We did the show.
I was amazing. That's stupid.
We did the show.
So dumb. Right? No, I think the good news is some of his evolution too. And I pay attention as well, as I'm sure Kate does. You just have a support network around you who's paying attention to you, your brother, anybody who knows you well. And you're able to feel certain things and get some signs that might make you feel it.
Listen,
which is great.
Yes, they are a big deal, but they're not a big deal to me. Give me some time, I'll come out of it. I'd say drive me home. Tell me to go to bed.
I'm going to say make you drive. Get in the car, jack
Make
off.
me go to bed. I'll sleep it off.
Yeah. Do you go home and crash?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably crash. After a seizure, I'll probably crash for 14 to 18 hours. Yeah. Your muscles are so tired. I mean, you're like physically just exhausted.
Sore. I imagine you're sore.
But it's,
and that's
when it's part of your life, it's part of your life. That's
like, I'm sure when he,
no Toto today.
Yes. No Toto today. Got it. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. All right, so I've got the most brilliant idea of the month. It's Women's History Month after all. We just found this out yesterday. And go ahead, Brock.
I was going to say Happy Women's History Month. And once we can truly define it, we'll really celebrate.
On the road at some point. Baby steps here in the United States, ladies and gentlemen. It takes a while to unwind crazy. But this is how it's going on the left, right? We've got this brilliant idea by the creator of the Dilbert comic strip, which is just in and of itself, next to Calvin and Hobbes, one of my favorites. It's just the greatest ever, right? So Scott Adams has his own podcast now. And actually, I think he does a really nice job. And he says something fantastic, but I'm going to give you a little predicate to it. And we're going to play something from MSNBC. And this is Rachel Maddow calling anti-Tesla protests courageous. There's this glamour of mobs, of violence, of uprisings, of social upheaval that the left loves. That the right is like, wait a minute, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? What is it about the left that loves the violence and the optics of it all? Well, it's almost always a smokescreen, right? Anytime there's something like, let's go, right? It's something that the public that's been ginned up by the media is going to devolve into. And this is the Tesla thing, the firebombing, Molotov cocktails. It's only a matter of time before these ridiculous protests become deadly. And I hope, God willing, no. Here's Rachel Maddow. She's praising these demonstrations, and she creates the story that Donald Trump is pressuring people to go buy Teslas. Have you heard that? I haven't heard that at all. Not once. Listen.
They're small, too, which actually shows its own kind of courage. Little protests, little sort of sparky, spunky protests this weekend in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and in Canton, Ohio. Even after President Trump and his top campaign donor and the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, all started threatening Americans who don't support Elon Musk's car company. They started threatening people that they'd be hit with terrorism charges or that these, boycotting Tesla or protesting against Tesla was somehow specially illegal in a way that other forms of protests aren't. which is nonsense legally, but they issued the threats anyway.
She's old enough to understand what she's doing. She knows exactly what she's doing. She's lying on live television purposefully. Like Jeff Goldberg, lying about Donald Trump, talking about the funeral of a Mexican-American service member, and saying $60,000 for an effing Mexican? Nah, don't pay it. Really? I mean, they're so cavalier and so horrible in their lies. Rachel, the reason Pam Bondi and the reason Donald Trump have said that it's going to be an act of domestic terror is because it's one straw too far. One Molotov cocktail is one too many, I'm going to say. And this is the party of, that was an insurrection. Did you see what they did? Oh my gosh. Out of the other side of her mouth, she's celebrating these sparky, spunky protests and creating a storyline that's factually incorrect. And she knows it. They have nothing, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to hear what Scott Adams says. This is the Dilbert creator. He says, you know what? I got this great idea for all of these liberal conspiracy theories and wild claims about the Department of Government Efficiency and everything that the left doesn't like. Here's my idea, says Scott Adams.
So now that we know that the big problem was the imaginary concern of what could have happened but didn't happen, I've suggested that Trump should create a Department of Imaginary Concerns. And it would be only to handle Democrat complaints. And the new department could have imaginary policies to combat the imaginary concerns. So you would place things like climate change in there. Climate change, at least the crisis part of the climate change. You put the Russia collusion thing in there. You put the Houthis could have found out by hacking Signal in there. You put Trump might steal your democracy in the imaginary concerns department. That Musk might steal our social security numbers. That you put that right in the Department of Imaginary Concerns, and that there might be a constitutional crisis. Yep, that's the Department of Imaginary Concerns.
Well, you know what? And then we could go even a step further, sir. We could add E. Jean Carroll and the 28 other women who've come forward to claim that they were sexually abused, raped, molested by Donald Trump, because you know that fits exactly into his persona. He strikes me as that kind of a guy coming and going, right? We can put all of these allegations into the Department of Imaginary Concerns. I agree with you, Scott. 100%. There needs to be something ridiculous for us to label all of these ridiculous fake news stories that circulate. All of the drum beating, right, that the left is known for. He continues, though, and says, I'm only kind of half joking about this.
I'm not completely serious about this, but just think how funny it would be if every time one of these hoaxes comes up, and Trump is asked about it, he says, oh, I've delegated that to the Department of Imaginary Concerns. But are you trying to steal our democracy? You know, that's a perfectly good question. So I've delegated that to the Department of Imaginary Concerns. Did you agree with Putin to have sex with him if he stops the fighting? Well, you know, no, but I'm going to assign that to the Department of Imaginary Concerns, and we'll come up with an imaginary policy to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Ridiculous idea for a ridiculous chapter of American history. It's not just our history, it's the whole world right now. It's absolutely crazy. It's created by the left. It's created by a rabid, deranged fringe group on the left. And it's also fomented by enough people on the right who don't have the huevos to stand up and say, sit down, because that's how it needs to be addressed. Now, the frustration with all of this fake news mumbo jumbo is that each of you out there is going through something. Whether it's a diagnosis, whether it's the loss of a job, whether it's a struggle with one of your children, you're dealing with something right now that is very significant. in all of this hocus pocus fairy tale land of make believe suck swamp creature nonsense is so petty and embarrassing when you look at what you're actually going through. And for the greatest example of that, I want to bring in some good news, right? Rock? Yeah. We need some good news. This is one of the things that I love about Fridays, and one of the things I particularly enjoy about Steve Hartman from CBS. He has a beautiful way in just a couple minutes of capturing a slice of life, sometimes that we don't want to have to live through, but that always seems to have some positive on the flip side. And this case is no different. Steve Hartman now takes us on the road. He's going to take us to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where a cancer patient asked her nurse for the most. Now, I could hear that every single day. And those are the stories that are most important. Of all of the things that we talk about, Monday through Friday until the final segment, I'm waiting for that moment, because that allows you to wash all the other garbage aside, put it aside, and wash it off of you. And be reminded that the vast majority of the people around you would do anything to help you out. That's why I always love telling those stories on television. They need to be told. Small people who do big things don't do big things for accolades or pats on the back. They do it because they make a promise to someone whose lives they've impacted. That, to me, the most important news of the week. Now, that said, I cannot attest to the veracity of these bad jokes that are coming up next. Brock is in charge of those, and if he proofreads them, okay. But if not, you could be rolling the dice. Let's do it together. It's Bad Joke Friday next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Oh my,
Hey, do me a favor. Come in and get yours, and I'll show you what you need to do real quick. If that were to happen, you run over and you hit this button.
Disconnect.
Yeah, because they'll then send old Wendy Bell radio shows to the radio station.
Oh, you did print them out.
You guys would get to see. You guys would get to see all the glory. And if that ever happens, and I don't feel that way, whatever. You hit disconnect and then turn this on. Turn this side of the camera on.
Oh.
Let people see it.
Well, you're beyond the floor.
Yeah, well, they can still see it. Move the camera.
Right. Okay.
Hey, we said we show everything. That's part of it.
Yep.
That's part of it. You know, I had one at a radio station, and the guy actually he's gone, had me on the air for 25 to 30 minutes to talk about epilepsy. And to me, that's the biggest thing. If we have any kind of a platform to talk about, it's to tell people that you can't stop it.
Do you guys remember that show where I came out and I was like,
Rocks on the Roof?
No, I'm like, I lied to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday, and I need to tell you about what. And that's when we were posting stuff on Facebook. And oh my God, that one went gangbusters. It was like huge because people thought I lied to them. Well, I did.
Well, you were protecting me, but it's not something I need.
We hadn't had that conversation.
No.
We hadn't worked together that long. And so I was like, is it really my job to tell everybody in the world that my, partner just had at 8:20 in the morning
I do drive, by the way. I'm permitted to drive. So it happens so infrequently, and I'm very blessed. And we talked about it. I know why it's on your mind, because we talked about the good news this morning. And, I've had them when I was driving, and to God bless. I believe I have an angel, and I've never been hurt by one, ever.
Angel is called Mom.
So
I was telling Brock, I was sitting in my kitchen yesterday, and I was feeling, I wear my mom's ring, and I haven't really cried a lot about it. And yesterday, for some reason, it just walloped me out of nowhere. I was just like gut punched by it. And I stood at the kitchen window and I looked outside, and I'm like, oh, I miss you. And right then this cardinal came over. And I swear, when I think about my mom, this cardinal or a cardinal comes over, and it was a boy cardinal. It was the beautiful red. And I'm like, that's not who she is, because the girl cardinals are not as pretty. And I'm like, I wonder if this fella has a partner. And as I said that, over comes the female one. And I was just like, and I lost it. I'm like, I need a counselor
for a reason.
I'm like, I need
I'm a totally quick story, very personal. When my mom died, we had a bush that would not bloom, and
rose bush.
A rose bush. The horticulturist lived next door, couldn't get to bloom. When I got home, it was fully bloomed. So I believe in that
after your
stuff.
mom passed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I look really good when I cry. Oh my God.
Ugly cry.
Wow. Oh, so mean. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wendy Bell radio program. Now, this is something that we started many, many years ago. It's non-negotiable. If you're a part of the program, you're a part of this.
I just flew in from New York, and boy, my arm's tired. I'm joking, of course. Anywho, welcome to the Comedy Club. Won't you give it up to Wendy and Brock for Bad Joke Friday?
This joke out of the gates is from Dr. Richard Rafferty from the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh. And he says this: a strange man and a woman were on a journey in a transcontinental train. They were in the same cabin, even though they had never met before. Both of them were married to other people. They found themselves assigned to the same sleeping space. Both of them were initially embarrassed and kind of uneasy over sharing a room, but due to the long journey, they were both very tired. They wanted to sleep as soon as possible. Finally, they decided the guy would sleep on the upper bunk, the woman on the lower bunk. At 1 a.m, though, the man kind of leaned down and he gently woke the woman up, saying, "Ma'am, I'm so sorry to bother you, but would you be willing to go to the closet to get me a second blanket? I'm feeling so cold." The woman thought for a moment, then smirked and said, "I have a better idea. Just for tonight, let's pretend that we're married." The man's eyes widened with excitement. "Wow, that's a great idea," he exclaimed. She nodded, smiled sweetly, and said, "Good. Now come on down here and get your own damn blanket."
That nails it. That nails it.
No, these are not fair.
What did Yoda say when he saw himself in 4K?
What?
HDMI.
Oh, God. Did you hear the police had their toilets stolen? Yeah, they had nothing to go on.
3 conspiracy theorists walk into a bar. You can't tell me that's just a coincidence.
What do you do if you're addicted? If you're addicted to seaweed, you seek help. Yes.
Man sticks his head into the barbershop and asks, "How long before I can get a haircut?" Looks around the shop and says, 2 hours. Man leaves. A few days later, the same man comes back, sticks his head in the door and goes, "Excuse me, how long before I can get a haircut?" Barber looks around the shop full of customers and says, "About 3 hours. Man leaves. About a week later, same guy sticks his head in the barbershop and asks, "How long till I can get a haircut?" Barber glances around the shop and says, "About an hour and a half." Again, the man closes the door and leaves. Barber looks over a friend in the shop and says, "Bill, can you go follow that guy when you see where he goes? Keeps asking how long he has to wait for a haircut, but then he never comes back." A little while later, Bob comes walking back into the shop, laughing hysterically. The barber asks Bill, "Well, where did he go when he left here?" Bill looks up and goes, "Your house."
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Foolish Joe. He drank a pint of varnish. It was a sad end, but a beautiful finish.
Oh, how did the hairdresser win the race?
How?
She knew a shortcut.
I told my wife she was drawing her eyebrows too high. She looked surprised.
Last night, someone broke into the house and stole a dozen eggs.
Oh.
He also left a pan of hot water on the stove. Police believe it was a poacher.
Did the Mexican take anti-anxiety medication for his panic attacks?
An overweight blonde went into a doctor to get advice on losing weight. Doctor told her eat regular meat for 2 days, then skip the third day and repeat the process. And when you come back, you'd see me in 2 weeks. We should have lost about 10 pounds. When she came back 2 weeks later, she had lost over 25 pounds. The doctor asked if she followed the plan. She said she did, but thought she was going to die on the third day. Doctor asked, because of the hunger? Blonde says, no, because of all the skipping.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Most people think that T-Rexes can't clap because they have short arms, but it's really because they're dead.
Oh, jeez. How do you get down from an elephant?
How?
You don't. You get down from a goose.
You get down from a oh gosh. Oh my.
Wow.
A panic-stricken man explained to his doctor, "You've got to help me. I think I'm shrinking." "Now settle down," the doctor calmly told him. "You'll have to learn to be a little patient." Yes.
After my prostate exam, oh boy, the doctor left and the nurse came in. As she shut the door, she whispered 3 words that no man ever wants to hear. Who was that guy?
Oh, when I was a kid, my mother told me I could be anyone I wanted to be. Well, it turns out identity theft is a crime. So there you go.
At the Olympics, I saw an athlete carrying a long stick and asked him, "Are you a pole vaulter?" He replied, "No, I'm German, but how do you know my name is Vaulter?"
Oh my God.
I didn't say it was good.
One day, a police officer pulls over a car and sees the back seat is full of penguins. The officer tells the driver, "You can't be doing this. You need to take these penguins to the zoo." Well, the next day, the police officer pulls the same car over again and says, "Hey, I told you to take these penguins to the zoo." And the driver says, "I did. And today I'm taking them to the movies." Oh my God.
I got one more. I hate hotel towels. They're so thick and fluffy. I can't even close my suitcase.
Oh my goodness. What did the cowboy get a weenie dog? Why did the cowboy get a weenie dog?
Oh boy.
He wanted to get a long little doggy.
Oh,
yes. Boy. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that just happened. See, you waited for this. Wasn't it worth it? Just say yes. Have a great time with you this week. Thanks for being a part of the program. Get our app, Wendy Bell Radio Network. Follow along on the podcast. Just come on back on Monday. Have a blessed weekend. Peace.